This is Brightside Home Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast, the home theater podcast that's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the scenes. John coming in hot with some enthusiasm this week. I felt that in the sounds.
Yeah, right.
It was like a nice
it was like
subwoofer.
a bass thump in the chest.
Yeah. Hey, we both thought the same.
I know,
today,
that's bad.
John.
Yeah, I know.
That's not good. This show's going south real quick. You know what they say, John? Great minds think alike.
That's right.
So do bad ones.
Yeah.
Oh, how have we been this week?
Okay. Yeah, not too bad.
Judging by your
yourself?
notes, it's been a pretty crappy week.
Well, I watched some things. I went to a couple movies.
And I stopped watching some things.
I stopped watching some things. Yeah.
Having fun.
Yeah, we'll get to all of that.
Yeah, we got lots to get to. A ton of 4K releases this week.
Oh, really?
Apparently, nobody's shy about releasing movies going up head to head Top Gun Maverick.
Right.
But what's funny is we'll get to it when we get to 4K. It's very interesting. Very interesting what's going on. And it's like, I mean, not, Wonder Woman 1984 running away from Endgame type stuff, but
right.
It is pretty interesting what's going on there.
Okay. I just added like 40 more movies to my Best Buy watch list for Black Friday. So
I went on, I was down to like 2 spots open on my Kaleidoscape. I was like, oops.
Oh, jeez.
Well, because I bought some series. We'll get to that in 4K. But when you buy an entire series of shows in 4K, it takes up quite a bit of space.
And then I realized that like putting 4K disc buying on hold now means I'm going to have to pay like $900 for Lawrence of Arabia, apparently, because it's like ridiculously expensive.
Really?
Yeah. For a movie that just came out in June. No, I'm not going to. Yeah. But it's like the Steelbook is like $90 now.
Really?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
because I was trying to add it to my list for Best Buy, and I was like, Best Buy didn't have it, and so like I started going down this rabbit hole of like, well, okay, I'll just go to Amazon, and Amazon had it for like $115, and I was like, well, that seems like a lot. And, apparently, yeah, it was just that. Well, it's in that box set, which is also crazy expensive.
Yeah,
but apparently they just did the Steelbook release in June, and it sold out right away, and that's it. There's nowhere to get it. So I would like to have it. That's one of those. I listened to Jonathan today, and you guys were talking about movies that everybody's seen that somehow you haven't ever seen. I've never seen Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Oh. But I've just heard great things about the disc, so I wanted to get it. But, like, I'm not going to go out and drop $100 on a movie I've never seen before.
Yeah. Well, so it's kind of worth it. It's like 25,
I'm sure,
bucks an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 4 hours long. Yeah.
It's not too bad,
Not too bad. I mean, the Steelbook was $45, so it's not like it was super cheap.
Yeah.
But still, $99 is, I don't know, it seems like a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. I can't remember.
I can buy it on iTunes for $12. It won't be exactly the same.
No, the disc is awesome. It's beautiful.
But I'm now at the point where I just want to see it because now I'm curious. So
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Somehow I've just always gone past that and never actually seen it. So
I thought of one after the fact.
I was thinking of like 4 or 5 when I was listening to the show.
And I'm sure that more will pop up, but like if you haven't seen it, it's not at the front of your mind. But I was scrolling through. I've never seen beginning to end Raging Bull.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I was actually just talking about this with Lydia on Sunday because something came up. I have never seen The Outsiders Stand By Me or The Goonies. Never seen. I don't know how I missed all those classic 80s movies growing up in the 80s, but I've never seen any of those movies. And we were talking about it Sunday because somehow, for some reason, The Outsiders came up, and I was like, I've never seen that. And
you read the book, right? We had to read it in school.
No, I didn't read it either. I don't somehow missed that. I've never read that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, I've never read the book, never seen the movie. And then it got me thinking, like, well, I've never seen Stand By Me, and I've never seen The Goonies. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Those
movies
are
that are on my list now of movies that
just
I'm actively
that trilogy
trying to
alone
watch.
that you just made up. It's like a friendship trilogy, right?
Right.
It's like that's exactly what it is. It's all just like buddies doing.
I don't know what I was doing in those.
You were hanging out with your buddies.
Probably hanging out with you, but you've seen them all.
Yeah, it's well, Goonies was young. We were younger.
Yeah,
I think even no, Stand By Me, I think is probably the.
I mean, The Outsiders was high school. Would have been around high school age, right? So I don't know. Somehow I just, I just went past all of those and never saw them. And then as the years went by, it's just like, Yeah, no,
you got to see, especially all of them. But they did just come out with, and I grabbed it. There's a The Outsiders new extended edition. It's a really good edition too. Yeah. But oh my God, you got to see Outsiders.
That's actually a good green room talk, like a good green room thread.
Movies we haven't seen.
But I thought about that like this morning when you guys were, or when I was listening to the podcast.
Yeah. It was like, Jonathan, what a great conversation. It was so funny. We start off, and I put it in the synopsis. I was like, we start off as enemies, but on the gridiron as a joke, but like he's so similar to me in likes, dislikes, and everything. It was just really, really.
I could tell you guys exactly when the New Hope Laserdisc flips. It's the scene when the tractor beam is pulling the Millennium Falcon into the Death Star. And what's funny about that is like when we went to go see the orchestra, like the live orchestra with the movie, that was intermission. And I was like, we had been sitting for a while, and then it was like an hour into the movie, and I had to go to the restroom. And I leaned over to Lydia and I said, I bet you the intermission is coming up like in 5 minutes when this scene happens. And sure enough, it happens, and the intermission came up. And she's like, how did you know? And I said, well, that's when I had to flip the Laserdisc over.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, I might have had a different version of it than he had because I have the special edition Laserdisc.
Right.
You can actually, they're still behind me.
Yeah.
But that's when that one flipped because I'll never forget. I don't know any of the other ones, but I always remember that one being at that
That's
scene.
the thing is I used to get up and what I'm doing now, and everybody is like, oh, wow, this, the kaleidoscope's made for you, jumping from scene to scene. And I've done that my whole life. So like actually like sitting, and that's the one difference I think Jonathan and I have is that he needs to block out that time and watch a whole movie. And
well, and he's like, he and I are more like when it comes to that because I don't really do that either.
But I used to do it with Laserdiscs all the time and just be able because that was one of the great things about Laserdisc, because at the time with a Laserdisc, that's the only medium we had that you could do that. Because you had the chapter index and you'd put in the correct disc. If you wanted to go to an end scene, like the final battle scene in Star Wars, you'd put in the third disc or second disc, whatever, put it on, go to the last side, go right to that chapter and go right to it. Whereas with a VHS tape, you were like, oh, watch this scene.
And you just fast forward and you're like holding it down and watching it. And
Yeah. But
some VCRs had like the ability to go to chapters.
The digital VHS. Yeah. You could do a little bit better, but you could have the nice scrolling and stuff like that.
I never had one of those because they were too fancy for me. But
I had one of those right before my Laserdisc, and then once I got the Laserdisc, it was I still have my Sony everything when I moved here. My Laserdisc player was in this theater when I moved here.
Oh,
I had-
really? See,
yeah,
I
I
didn't keep any. All I kept was the 3 Star Wars
that was 20
laser
years ago,
discs.
though.
Yeah, I didn't keep anything else. I sold the
Yeah.
rest, or I don't even know what happened to them. I don't even know if I sold them because I don't know who even wanted them. I probably just
Right.
threw them away. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody was interested in laser discs.
I have a
back
stack
then.
right next to me. My whole
Yeah.
stack is sitting right over here.
I wish I still had them, but
It's easily about 12, 13 inches high, maybe higher. I don't know.
yeah.
I got a tape measure right here. Let's see. Oh, it's over 12, probably 14, 15 inches high. Stacked up laser
Nice.
discs. And those are the ones I pulled out that are in good shape, that in good movies that I want to frame.
Right.
And it's like, oh, cool. They're just sitting there. So I pulled them out one day. But yeah. Good fun. All right, that was a good show.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. You ready to do some get to our promos? We gotta do our, promote ourselves, John.
We do.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
nobody
do.
else will, so we
Nobody.
gotta do
Oh,
it.
that's not true. We have a lot of people
That's not
promoting
true.
us all over the place. It's great.
Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't say that.
Speaking of which, Jonathan commented, I'll get to his email in a little bit, but one of the comments he had is he said he's like, his friends and family are listening to the podcast. And he's like,
Oh, really?
yeah, which is always fun. It's like you're on a podcast, and I'll read his comments later when we get to listener experiences. But one of the things he said, is there a place where people can leave comments on an audio episode? And I was like, oh yeah, actually the only place is on the website, and you can click on the website. If you go to brightsidehometheater.com, every episode is there, and if you scroll down to the bottom of the episode, you'll see leave a comment, and you can leave comments there. And nobody's left comments there in a while because we're not good at promoting that stuff.
No.
I mean,
It's
we're
all
getting
on
comments
Twitter
everywhere else,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, Twitter in the green room, but
YouTube. We get a lot of comments from YouTube. We have a pretty decent following through YouTube. Pretty interesting. And what I mean by decent, it's not like we have like 100,000 followers. I mean interaction with people, and you see the same comments from people that you don't see elsewhere. So they just follow us through YouTube, which is really nice. So thank you very much. If you're not following us on YouTube, why not?
yeah.
Mike Schramm's
please
following
do.
us twice.
I know.
If you are following
Still
us
need,
on
like,
YouTube, why
300
aren't you following us
followers?
twice? Yeah, it's like like 250, something like that. We're up at 240. So we're climbing. We're getting there. But yeah, tell your friends, tell your family, go on YouTube, hit subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. And we really, really appreciate it. Because that's how we're gonna grow the podcast a little bit more every day. So but as I said, you can go to brightsidehometheater.com, show notes, all sorts of stuff, links there. You can buy us boxes of popcorn. We have not had anybody buy us a box of popcorn yet.
No?
No. Ara. Well, we tested it out. We haven't had any, but we're not really pushing that either, because I'm like, but a $5, a $10, or as much as you'd like. But no boxes of popcorn yet. $10 gets you a lifetime membership to the Green Room. And that lifetime is not yours, but the lifetime of the Green Room. Because I don't know.
Right.
What if AV Nirvana goes on? I don't want to be sued because I said lifetime.
That's right.
I wasn't specific until just now. Lifetime of the Green Room. And as always, you can follow us at Brightside HT on Twitter. And you know what? You can also follow John at Arkham Comics with an X.
You can. You're right.
Yep.
A couple of people have followed me from this show.
From the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, again, the only thing I post is my store stuff, really. But
right. Hey, if you're into comics, which
but
a lot,
they're sharing it and liking it, so it's helped. Yeah.
We had a lot more crossover from here to comics than comics to here. Like when we dropped comics, nobody in comics went, all right, I'll go listen to you guys over there. They already were. It's like, but I think if we drop this, some of these people would be like, all right, we'll go there. I like those guys.
I guess I'll have to go. Yeah, I guess I'll have to
there.
go hear about comics.
No, we did have a segment where we just talked about shows. Wasn't necessarily HT related, but and John, you want to get to your favorite?
I do. That would be patreon.com/Brightside Home Theater.
Yeah.
See? You can you can teach an old dog new tricks.
Dance, monkey.
Yeah. It's not
Yes.
the bright side.
And what do we have this week for patrons? Did you look?
Patron of the week this week is Mike Love and Thunder. Patron for 4 months.
Yes, it is.
And
Thank
we
you,
had
Mike.
Thank you, Mike. And we had one increase in donation.
More than doubled.
Yes, more than doubled.
Nice.
Bill McAllister.
Thank you.
Has upped his monthly pledge, so thank you, Bill. And that's, again, I don't have the totals from
Yeah.
the week,
The totals.
I imagine it hasn't changed a whole lot since last week.
I'm sorry. I should have sent that to you.
It's
Let me pull that up right now. We have 26 patrons. We are estimated at $148 a month.
Awesome.
And this month, 50%, well, or $100, but we minimum of 100, but 50% of all our donations, we donate every month. So this month we're doing breastcancer.org, and it's it's more about the support of people dealing with breast cancer, whether they have breast cancer or a family member has breast cancer. And that's why you're seeing if you're on YouTube, that's why you're seeing the pink ribbons. So this will be the last week for that. This weekend, I will probably be sending out the $100 to breastcancer.org. If you go to their website, you can donate directly to them. Top right corner, there's a little red button that says donate. But breastcancer.org. And next month, we're going to go in November is like men's awareness month. So we're going to have something for that. And then we have something really special lined up for December too, for Christmas. So
cool.
We'll talk about that next week. But this week is breastcancer.org. So thank you to everybody for supporting the show monetarily, just supporting us, even just getting our name out there. Let's, well, we'll lead it off. I don't even know if I put it into the show notes, but let's get to listener experiences. Oh, I had no tweak. Actually, I did have a tweak this week. Sorry.
I had a little tweak too.
Oh, did you? Okay, good. That's why I played that
know
sounder.
Yeah.
So let's not get to listener experiences. Let's stick with tweaks because I played that sounder. All right, why don't you go first with your tweak?
Yeah. Well, and it's not so much a tweak as it was figured out how to do something that wasn't working. So my projector, while I'm still waiting for the Dolby Vision update, is capable of HDR10 plus.
Okay.
But I had yet to see any content actually coming through that showed that it was playing in HDR10 plus.
Yeah, but Apple TV wasn't capable of it until recently.
No, Apple TV wasn't, but not either from my discs either.
Okay.
I've got multiple discs that do have HDR10 plus. 1917, Alita Battle Angel, both have it. So I went through and I was looking at, I double checked all the settings on my Blu-ray player. Everything was right, but nothing was coming through in HDR10 plus. Posted it on the AWOL group on Facebook, and a user there was kind enough to remind me that my AVR does not pass through HDR10 plus. The Denon 6500H doesn't pass that through. So what I did is I went into the Blu-ray player, which has actually a separate HDMI audio and video output. So I connected the audio. I just moved the cable that I was using for video into the audio slot, and then I plugged directly into the AWOL with the video. And then lo and behold, I popped in Alita Battle Angel, and everything was playing in HDR10 plus. So that was cool. I mean, it's not a big thing because not that many discs use it. And even streaming, I was going to buy the new Apple TV box, but Amazon Prime is the only one that is even using HDR10 plus.
Okay.
And I would have to figure out another workaround to try to get that box to work. So I don't know that I'm going to bother with it, especially since I'm still, I'm pumping the brakes slightly on the Lumagen, based on the conversation we had. But it's still, in my
Well,
in
we
my
can have that
sights,
conversation here.
and that will obviously solve all of those issues because I could use that as my switcher for
Yeah.
the limited content. Which and it wouldn't matter anyways either way because the Lumagen would just do the processing. It wouldn't matter whether I had Dolby Vision or HDR10 Plus anyways. But anyway, like I said, small tweak. I didn't even actually watch the movie once I got it working. I just actually wanted to see my display show that I was outputting HDR10 Plus, and then I turned it off and moved on to something else.
Yeah.
But I did get that working, so I guess that counts as a tweak. So
Yeah, that's a pretty big one. You're actually utilizing something you can utilize.
right. But I was disappointed to find out that receiver, again, it's a couple years old, but it was top of the line
Yeah.
in 2020. That it didn't, and it passes through Dolby Vision, but for some reason does not pass through HDR10 Plus.
That's interesting. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't pay much attention to that with a projector that doesn't
Right.
have any of it, so I didn't really
Right.
pay attention to it.
Yeah, but see, like mine, mine actually does, and they're really dragging their feet on the Dolby Vision update. But I at least wanted to see the HDR10 Plus working, and like I said, did actually get it to work.
Cool.
So now it does throw a little bit of a wrench because it plays a little bit of hell with my harmony with the hub because I can't seem to get it working right to where when I hit play movie now it switches the inputs correctly because it's actually using both inputs because it's using the audio input on the receiver. And I did go in and I set the projector to switch to HDMI 2 when it's in movie mode.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually work. Like when I hit the function, it just goes black screen. Like it for some reason it won't actually switch. I had to get the remote for the projector and manually switch the input back and forth. I don't watch that many movies that it will matter. Like when I go to watch a movie, I'll just manually switch the input over.
Right.
But for some reason it won't. Either it's the projector, a limitation on the projector, or something in the Harmony program, but it wouldn't actually switch that input for me.
I don't think it would be
I
the
don't
Harmony,
know why.
Because
No, it's probably the projector. Yeah.
I use
It's probably something with the projector.
I use the same input on my projector for everything. But
Well, see, and I was, but now I'm not because now I
but
have my
right, but even still,
I'm
I
using-
have utilized it. I have utilized two in the past, and the Harmony
Yeah.
didn't have a problem with that.
because I use
Is it not
HDMI
seeing
3
it?
is the HDMI 3 is the eARC, and that's the one I use for the receiver. But I just used 2. But like I said, for some reason, it looks like it's switching over because it does go to it changes the input, but it just goes black. It just goes blank, and it doesn't actually do anything until I go in and manually change it. So
Right.
I'll play around with it some more. I was doing this at 2 in the morning when Lydia was sleeping.
Yeah, the Harmony should
But-
be able to handle that because
Yeah,
I mean,
I would think so too.
I'm
but
running it through a
just wasn't-
Lumagen. It does all the
Yeah.
inputs for that. It goes, then the audio goes into the Marantz, but the Marantz
I'm
never
sure it's
changes
user
inputs,
error.
but
I would think I'm doing
Yeah.
something wrong, but I couldn't figure it out. So
not at 2 in
and
the
this was
morning.
just 2 nights ago. So
Yeah. Isn't it funny when you do stuff like that, though? You'll be working at 2 in the morning. You can't figure it out. You're like, this thing's, and then the next day or whenever you sit down to do it again, and it
Yeah.
might take you a week because I've done the same thing. You're like, I'm
Right.
just so frustrated. I'm not even going to deal with it. And then you end up doing all the multiple remotes thing. And then one day you're just like, you know what? I'm going to look at this. Oh, it's this.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
yeah,
dumb.
well, I did that actually when I installed the projector and I was trying to line it, get it lined up with the screen. I messed with that thing for 2 hours and I couldn't get it right. Finally got frustrated, went to bed. But me being like you, couldn't sleep, couldn't get it out of my head. So an hour and a half or so later, I got back up and within 20 minutes, I had it perfectly lined up and adjusted. It was just, I had to get away from it and just do something
Relax.
different. Yeah. and I came right back. So yeah, I'll go back to it and mess around with it, and I'm sure I'll get it working just fine.
Oh,
but,
my God.
I couldn't get it to work.
It really
3 in the
should
morning.
be like the uniform of the home theater repairman is like tighty whities.
Right. I know, because honestly,
The 2
literally, I was in my
a.m.
underwear.
you're
and
in there, you're like, you got your...
Actually, I was I don't want to say, but I was in less than my underwear, actually. So good thing everybody else, well, it's only me and my wife, but good thing everybody else was asleep.
Yeah,
But
well, so you were out of uniform. If you were
I
going
was out of
out,
uniform,
you would have
yes,
thrown
yeah.
something on.
I would have, exactly, yeah. But I was off duty, so I was
Yeah,
out of
you
uniform.
were off duty, all right. No, I've
That's
done
an image I didn't want to put out there for the listeners, but I just did anyway.
Wait till you see YouTube. I have pictures.
I know.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you lay in bed and you're trying to work it around and like,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you think you got the idea, so you're like, gotta get there, and it's like,
Right.
It
Got to
was
get up
easy.
and go do it.
like I was saying to the other day, I was like, it was easy when it was my bedroom, and you're
Right.
just like, you sat up, and then like I was back there behind the home theater cabinet, like with Y splitters. I'm trying to get multiple sounds in play. You remember those gray Y splitters from
Yep.
Radio Shack?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. I had tons of those running out of like a VCR, trying to get stereo or some semblance of it. Wasn't stereo, it was mono sound going everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's just like the movies. Yeah, right. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff.
So you said you had a little tweak as well.
Yeah, and it plays into what we're going to talk about in our real experience, HT experiences this
Okay.
week. So you know what? I'm going to save it. I'll
Okay.
save it for then. But let's
All right.
because of that, let's get to your little conversation. This is a tweak you're trying to do, but you got talked down.
I got talked down. Yeah, I found a dealer that was selling a used Lumigen on AudioGone, but it was a bigger unit than what I needed. It was the 444.
Right.
And I don't need that much. So, but in the body of his description, he stated that he was a dealer, and had other units available. So I called him up on Saturday morning to talk to him about what he had, and he basically like refused to sell to me. Like he would not sell me wouldn't sell me a Lumigen. Like told me I didn't need it, that it wasn't going to do what I wanted it to do, and a little bit rudely hung up on me, which I wasn't too happy about, but basically just said, I can't help you, and hung up the phone. And it threw me a little bit because I was like, it's my money. Like,
Right.
if I want to spend it, what does it matter to you? Like, but it also gave me a little pause because who doesn't want money? Like, he obviously must believe that I don't need this Lumigen.
Right.
Because nobody just turns down money. He's either a total D-bag,
Right.
or he's like so ethical that he just didn't feel comfortable selling me something he didn't think I needed.
Right.
So I don't know what the answer is, but this is a guy that has been, at least according to his website. And again, it's a super polished professional website. So I believe that he's an established business. Says he's been selling for 30 years, had like, most people on AudioGone have like 3 feedback because they don't
Right.
sell that many. Like this guy had hundreds. So, I mean, he's
Right.
obviously bought and sold for years and years. I felt super comfortable dealing with him because of the feedback and the reputation. And he wouldn't sell it to me. Just flat out said, no, I can't help you. And that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
So it does give me a little bit of pause that, well, maybe he's right. Maybe
I would expect.
maybe
it to, yeah.
won't. Maybe it won't help me as much. Maybe I should just, wait for the Dolby Vision update, get an ISF calibration done on the projector, and call it a day. I don't know what I should do now. So I'm in a bit of a holding pattern because, now do I buy the Kaleidoscape? Do I buy the Lumigen? Do I do what? And like, I'm not generally indecisive and I don't really hem and haw about things, but it's still $4,800 or so that it's going to cost me to buy this thing and the software and get it put in.
Yeah.
It's not a small amount of money. I mean, it's not going to kill me, but it's not like lunch money. You know, it's
No,
still,
but you should
it's
have
still a lot of money.
confidence in a purchase. I don't care if you're spending
Right.
$100. You want to have confidence in I mean, when I buy a Snickers bar, I expect to open it up and
Exactly.
get a Snickers bar, right?
Right.
It's
So like if
and I'm
I
pissed
and then
if
I
it's something
listened
else.
I listened to the AV rant this morning.
Oh, okay.
To hear their take on, you
Yep.
know, the Lumagen versus the Mad VR. And again, it gave me pause because, you know, they're like, their opinion is, yes, you'll get some benefit out of it, but not $7,000 worth of benefit. And
Right.
so I don't know. I've got you who loves it and thinks like it'll be great. I've got Carl that loves his Mad VR and thinks it'd be great, but
Right. But see,
I've got
here's
other
the
people
thing.
saying it might not be.
Right.
So,
But I also say I agree. I also agree with AV rant, and I've said
You
that.
know.
I mean, it's expensive,
Yeah.
and when you get up into this level, and this is where I agree with AV rant, is that when you get up to this level, don't expect. And I've said this, I don't know, hundreds of times on this podcast. Going from my Denon to my Marantz, it's not a huge jump. It is a jump.
Right.
There is an improvement, but it's not huge. It's
Right.
not like, you know, it's not like when you spend, if you go from $1,000 projector to a $5,000 projector, that's an improvement.
Right.
Okay. When you go from, you know, a $500 receiver to what I have now, that's an improvement. That's a noticeable improvement. It's a big percentage jump, right? Going from no Lumagen to now, this is where AV Rant said, like, you know, is there any improvement? If there's a 10% upgrade, like when you listen to what Tom said, and he's like,
Right.
is it 50? Probably not. Is it this? But he was talking about a top of the line one. He goes, is
Exactly.
it a 10% upgrade? Well, even if it's just 10%, that's a lot, especially
Right.
when you get up to that level, right? I'm looking for like a 4%, 2% upgrade, because when you
Right.
get up to there's diminishing returns. So that's where I would agree, is that it's not a, you know, this isn't a big thing, but
Right.
one of the interesting things that Tom said, where he started out, he's like, who is this for? And then he made the comment, and he was kind of like stepping all over himself, where it was like, he's like, this isn't for anybody. But then later on, he said, he was talking about like the Derby and the cheaper, you know,
Right.
video processors that they used to have. And he used to recommend people get a cheaper TV. Well, there you go. That's the market.
Right.
Have a cheaper projector and put this thing in
And
line.
put the Lumagen on
He
it.
goes and put a Lumagen on it, because there was, I think it was called the Kansas City shootout that Youth Man did and stuff, where they literally used Mad VR software, not even a Lumagen box or a Mad VR
Right,
box.
used
This
the
was just the
soft- right.
software, right? And what it did is, and you watch the video and you hear them all talking, like there were like Epsons for $1,500 that were going like, now there was a noticeable difference, but what they said was being was the way to tell there was a difference.
Right.
But what that Mad VR software was doing to a $1,500 Epson was making it appear like a $20,000 projector.
Right.
That's a jump, right? And
Right.
that's the kind of power you're getting out of stuff like this. So that's where I was like, I'm like, Tom, buddy, you're stepping all over it. That's the
Yeah.
market. But that's what you're going to pay for there. I was in the
Right.
market at the time to buy mine, and it was like, should I get a new projector? And my guy's like, no, because at the time the 395s had come out. So I would have spent on a new projector. I could have sold mine and bought the new projector for roughly what I paid. I actually paid a little bit more with the Lumagen. I ended up paying
Right.
$4,000 for my Lumagen. So he got me a deal from somebody or
Right.
whatever. So I was like, okay, so I'll pay $4,000, and you can find the 4242 for $4,000 online.
Yeah, actually, I've seen a couple for
Right.
$3,800.
Right.
And so again, it's not devastating
No.
financially, but it's still
Yeah.
it's still an investment. You know, it's
Right.
not. I'm not gonna pretend like that's not money because it is.
It is.
You know,
But so at the time, say I bought, I think the new 395s at the time were I think they were $6,000, something like that, $5,500. If I sold mine for $3,000, I'm out of pocket $2,500. So I paid $1,500 more, but the bump I got was bigger than what if I had just upgraded to that, or as like, and I was talking to Rob H at the time about it. He's like, why don't you get the JVC with the, it's the same thing. I get the JVC with the tone mapping because that will solve this problem as well, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all debating all of this back and forth. Once you have the for the price of upgrading, I could do the Lumagen, and now that's in my system. For
right.
as
You can
long
always
as
take the
I can-
Lumagen.
now,
right.
right
with
now,
whatever
that's going
projector
to
you
bump
buy.
up my next projector. Right.
Right.
So it made more home theater hobby sense. Where I was, if that's the upgrade I wanted to go. But all of that being said, it's like, if you don't have a problem, like the listener we talked about last week, if you don't have a problem and you're just loving your picture but you think you might get something better,
Right.
maybe that's not the purchase for you, whether it's you or a listener listening to this. It's like, but I actually had an issue, and that's where my tweak is going to come up later, where for the first time, and I've had my Lumagen a year and a month now. I think I got it September of last year. And I'll just tell it right now. For the very first time, I got blocking, and it was on the Kaleidoscape.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What were you watching?
The episode 10 of House of the Dragon.
Oh, really?
Did you see the episode?
I did. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about it when we get there, but there's a scene, and we'll talk about it when we get there, that goes so black. I've never had any. You probably know of it right off from me right now, but it goes so black that Joe and I were like, "Wow, I've never seen that." It was blocking on the edges. So I went into the Lumagen since then, tweaked it, and brought the levels down, and I was like, I don't think it cost me anything anywhere else, meaning of picture quality, but I got it down that it can actually handle it. And that's what was nice about it. I was like, oh, I have never seen that. And this scene was that difficult. And here's what's real interesting. On Apple, I had no blocking because it's so it's not sending the same amount of signal.
Exactly.
Right? So I was like, wow, that was interesting. So I had to tweak with that, and I was like, oh my God. But that blocking that I got, that's how it used to be real on everything I was getting. On a scene like that, I can't even imagine what it would have been like without the Lumagen in line.
Well, I'm saying the other thing is, again, going back to what you and Jonathan were talking about earlier, you guys were joking about like Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy and watching that stuff on your projector. Again, this is my TV.
Correct.
It's my. This is what I watch.
You have a projector.
This is what I watch everything on. And so for every hour I spend watching House of the Dragon, I spend 3 or 4 hours watching Grey's Anatomy or a soccer game or The Good Doctor. And so, like, do I need a Lumagen to watch The Good Doctor or the? You know what I mean? It's like
no, I don't. But you'll
I mean,
get
yes, it would probably help.
Yeah.
Of course, it will help, right? No, don't get me wrong, but like. Am I spending $4,000 to get a better picture on The Good Doctor or on my soccer games or whatever? You know, I do still watch that other stuff too, but I watch so much stuff on that TV that I don't really care about the picture and sound quality of that much. You know, I want my game to look good. But, you know, I don't care if it has Neural X surround. I don't want to hear all the fans in every speaker and on my overheads. And, you know, it's like, I mean, it's, again.
No, but that.
Of course I do. But, like, I don't care about that stuff when I'm watching the majority of the content I watch on that thing. I don't care about even something like Cobra Kai and stuff. Even if it's on Netflix, I don't care how good it looks. You know, it's.
But it does
only certain things.
Right. When you get
when
to
I watch
good stuff.
Rings of the Power. Rings of the Power. When I watch Rings of Power, when I watch House of the Dragon, when I watch my
Tomorrow War.
discs. Yeah, of course that stuff I want perfect, right? But how many hours a week do I actually spend watching that stuff?
Yeah.
Where I care
But what
about that.
what you'll find, and that's what I think Carl's going through, is like where it up converts everything, and you
Right.
get just a great picture. So
Right.
it rising tides raises all boats.
Of course.
So you're going to get
and I don't
that.
know.
And-
I might still end up with one. I just
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
No, I know.
But again, it's cheaper to get a calibrator out to calibrate. Like, I feel like jumping right to the Lumagen without going through that step first
True.
is probably a mistake.
Right.
Because maybe I'll get an image that I'm very happy with.
That's the one
just
thing
by having the projector professionally
Right.
calibrated.
That's the one thing I'll disagree with what the AV rant said. Like, if you just get a good calibrator out and it'll take care of all of that, and that is
No,
not
it won't
true.
take care of all of it.
That's
but
just not true.
I don't think that I'm
Right.
even getting the most out of it now
right.
that I could be getting because I
my
haven't taken that
calibrator is
step
the
yet.
one that told me to get the Lumagen.
Right.
And he'd already, now I agree with what Rob's saying. He's like, calibrators like them because you don't have to learn all the different, like, you don't have to learn Samsung. You don't have to learn
Right.
Sony.
You actually
don't have
just
to
learn the Lumagen.
You learn the
Yeah.
Lumagen. The Lumagen then does the calibration for you, which is that
Right.
software we're looking at that makes it super easy. You and I turn into calibrators. If you got a Lumagen in line, you go, bloop, there you
Exactly.
go. Right. So that part I agree with. But at the same time, to say that you can get the same process, you get the same quality just by having a calibrator come out, I just don't think is true, because I had a calibrator come out. I had
And you
an
still had,
ISF
and you still had an
calibrator.
issue.
And then it's not like I went behind my calibrator's back and got the Lumagen. My calibrator installed the Lumagen.
Right.
So it's like,
And
when
told
they
you to buy it.
told
Really.
you to buy it. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know what I mean? No, it's like you, on the one hand, I understand what Rob's saying, but there is a benefit to it.
Right.
Where we all have common ground, me, Rob, and Tom, is that is the $7,000 value
Right.
there?
Is it value? Right. Is it a value
$4,000?
proposition?
Is that valuable to you? And Tom doesn't agree. He doesn't see the value in it. That's fine. That's his opinion.
But he sees the value at 2,000. So it's like, well, where's the line?
Right.
You know.
It's
So
real.
is it
right?
if it purely financial?
Right.
Then what's the line? Is it
Right.
3,500? Is it
Right.
if it's not? It's obviously not 7,000. But is it somewhere in the middle? You know.
Right.
What's the value line for it? So
I liked what.
don't know.
We'll leave that for green room.
Okay.
The comment that he made. We'll leave that for green room. your guy that didn't want to sell to you.
Oh.
The other comment, but all right. We almost skipped over Tweeks, but I think that's going to be the
Yeah.
whole show. So we've
Yeah,
run out
that
of
was a
time for
lot.
this week, everybody. But no, let's get to listener comments. I'm not even sure if I have this one written down. Photo from Twitter. Nope, that's not it. But I did save a photo just to remind me. Did you see Titans?
I saw
Season 4 is
that
dropping.
they have a teaser,
Yeah.
or a teaser with the date coming
Yeah.
in like 2 weeks or something, right?
dropping soon.
Mid-November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mid-November. I thought I had the date there, but yeah, I'm looking through here. I don't
Yeah,
have
I'm looking.
it.
Well,
but-
I don't know. I'm cautiously looking forward to that. Like season 3 was really a letdown.
Yeah,
So,
wasn't it?
I'm
It really
hoping
was.
that it is as good as like season
Yeah.
1 was, which I really enjoyed a lot. So we'll see.
No.
But this is the first year straight to HBO Max, right? Because wasn't even season 3 on Disney DC Universe?
Nope.
I
Season
think
3
it
was
was.
HBO
Wasn't it?
Max.
Was
that
it?
was one of the
Okay.
first ones on HBO Max. Remember?
Okay, I
It was
couldn't
like-
remember, but
Yeah.
I knew season 2 for sure was DC Universe, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about season 3.
No, the one I wanted to lead in with, that I was going to lead in with earlier, talking about supporting the podcast. How about Mike Love and Thunder with the sweatshirt?
Oh, I know. That was awesome.
And I was talking about it with Jonathan. I was like, oh, that was so funny. And then like,
Yeah.
I was what was I doing? Oh, I was chaperoning a dance that night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jen and I chaperoned 1,200 kids at the Franklin High
geez.
dance. Yeah, I was telling my hockey
Remember,
team.
yeah,
It
we used
was
to get like 50 kids.
Oh yeah. Well, that's Jen and I will laugh at. Their gym is huge now.
Yeah.
It's 2 basketball courts like lengthwise long. You can fit
Oh,
2.
wow.
You can actually have 2 games in there. They have the divider. But it was full gym, but above the gym they have a mezzanine it's a 3-lane track around the gym. So that's where Jen and I were looking down and they gave us these powerful flashlights. So if you saw something inappropriate, you'd hit the kids with the flashlight, and you're just sitting there looking at kids. And but
funny.
the guys on my hockey team were like, "Man, you were all serious," because I was telling them what was going on, and like Jen wanted to
You're
leave.
just like flashing
Oh,
everywhere.
I'm like, no, this is all serious. I'm like,
Yeah.
and Jen's like, oh, you want to get going? There was like an hour left. I was like,
Yeah.
no, we volunteered to do a job. We're here to do a job. You can't take off.
That's funny. I don't think there was 1,200 kids in all 4 grades when we were in Franklin
there
High
weren't.
School.
There weren't.
Because I think we graduated with like 230 or something like that.
Yeah, there weren't even
And-
1,000 kids in the school. Now it's like
Yeah.
1,700, and
Yeah.
1,200 kids were there the other night.
When my kids graduated high school, there was like 2,000 kids in their graduating class.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. They rent out, well, I don't know how Franklin does it anymore, but they rent out like, they go to like the NRG Center or something, which is where the Texans play. And that's where they have graduations and
Oh.
stuff. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. But
yeah.
yeah, Mike Love and Thunder bringing the love.
Yeah, repping the
just
sweatshirt. That was
Repping
awesome.
the sweatshirt. And like I said with Jonathan, I'm like, I don't know if he, did he not know he had that sweatshirt on? Because he didn't tag me.
yeah,
in the
maybe he was
photo.
just wearing it and then
Which I think
happened
is
to take
cool.
the picture.
Yeah.
Or he actually planned it out, which
He
is cool.
planned it out, which is, yeah, either way, I don't care. But yeah, and he's loving those speakers too.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's having a great time with that. So, yeah, he's finding much cleaner sound, better separation. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Well, yeah, because he said he had old, like reference series clip speakers.
Yeah.
So yeah, going to those
and
SVSs,
the horns
I'm
on
sure it was
those,
a
I
major,
said, like,
yeah.
I said in the green room to him, I'm like, look at the horns on those. Like your sound's going everywhere, whereas
Right.
SVS is going to be more precise, and it's just such a
I'm sure it's a huge upgrade.
yeah. So, all right, Dan commenting on YouTube on a green room video, but it was on YouTube. So he's like, Dan Carpenter says, great show. He goes, I wish you guys would use Plex at some point. You guys make it sound like it's a huge hassle to set up and use. It's very easy. I've been using it for about 10 years or so. Yes, there are complicated setups if you want to go, and then he goes on from there. But the point of this, I thought, was a great point. But listening to other people is like, Plex is complicated. And especially if to the uninitiated, you know what I mean? And it's like that, I every time I looked at it, and it's like, if you want to add this and you want to do that, or you do want to, it was like, you've got to get, just to get your Blu-rays on there. Now you've got to download software. You've got to get got to get something to rip it. You've got to do this. And the thing with Plex is, and like to a guy like Dan, it's simple because he knows it.
Well, he's been using it for over a
10
decade,
years,
right?
right.
Yeah.
So
it
but
makes
like
it easy.
for new people. Like the Zapiti, the reason I went with that one is because it eliminates a lot of the headaches that Plex has. Like Plex can only run certain things. You can't use it. You got to have this system, NVIDIA Shield or whatever. Can you get Atmos with it? Can you get DTSX with it? Which files does Plex read? Zapiti eliminates all that. It handles everything, right? And it puts it out one for one. So that actually, the Zapiti is a more simple version of Plex.
Right.
And that was complicated.
Yeah.
Johnny
and I still have
knows
that. I still have that in the back of my mind.
I know
but
you do.
You're the one that you're the one that keeps scaring me away from it.
Right.
Because I was really ready to jump into that rabbit hole too. I had done all the research. I had figured out where to buy my drive. I actually talked to a guy about buying my Ripper drive and all that stuff. And
yeah.
But you keep talking me out of it. So I haven't,
because I know you. And I know,
yeah, I know.
I know how.
I'm not the most patient guy in the world.
Right.
But
and and I am very patient with stuff like that, and I was at wit's end at times and needing.
But I feel like
calls.
I feel like you made all the mistakes that could keep me from
I
making
did.
them.
I
You know
did.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because believe me, I would have conversations before I started ripping anything.
Right. Well,
but-
then I mean, just the simple thing, like there's no conversation to be had, but you know, Johnny Speakers knows. He's like, you can be ripping, and it'll be like, all right, you put your disc in, you come back, and you can't wait to watch it. And, nope, failed.
it didn't work, right?
Yeah, you're like, okay, try
And
again.
just the time. I mean, the literal time of it, like the time
Right.
of burning 150 4K discs
Months.
and 200 more Blu-ray discs.
Months.
You know, it's like,
you feel like
you
you
know.
had a great day when you did 7
right.
day, because
Right.
it just takes so long, and you've got to get back to it. They might not rip. There's a lot
So
to
it's
it.
a huge time investment.
Right.
Right.
And that's the nice, easy Zapini.
But I feel like once you've done all, like I feel like once you hit the light at the end of the tunnel, it's kind of not bad. Although again, Prime Day just happened, and I bought
Right.
15 discs. Well, now I got to spend 15 hours ripping
Right.
those discs. You
Right.
know, but
No, but
and
today,
one of them was Game of Thrones season, complete
Right.
series, which is probably like 30 discs or something. I don't even know. I've never even opened it, but I don't know how
Right.
many discs that is. But
yeah. But to Dan's point, it's like I would rather, like he's saying that I wish you'd use it. It's easy.
well, you do use it.
Well, I use Zapini. I don't use Plex, but
Well.
Plex is a cheaper version of
Right.
Zapini, but there's a little bit more complicated, and it's not as useful, like push through. It doesn't allow
Right.
the same things that.
Well, and you have to
Zapini
have
does.
the NVIDIA Shield.
Yeah, you have to have certain.
Yeah.
It'll work with an Apple TV too, but to get Atmos, to get this, to get that,
Right.
there's a little bit more to it. I think you can get all that stuff, but again, I never really went full on, because a lot of times it's like it was so complicated that it wasn't worth it to me. But when I say that, it's like this is from my point of view, and that's what makes it harder for somebody like Dan, who even going into something like this, Dan's a smart guy. This is his wheelhouse. So he
Right.
understands that. It's like me going to fix a bumper. I'm like, this is going to take me 2 seconds. I get it.
Right.
I know the process. But for a lot of people, it's a non-starter, because it's just like, I don't even want to bother with it. Right.
Right.
But I would rather tell somebody, this is what it is. It's very difficult. Like I do with you with the Zapini. I would rather tell you no, no, no. And here's why. And then have you get it. And you'll be like, it's not as bad as I thought. Fine. But I would
Right.
rather do that than say, this thing's the best thing in the world, and have you tearing your hair out and go, DJ, you're a
Right.
jackass. Why didn't you warn me of this? Oh, I didn't
Right.
think it was a problem. Right? So I would rather err on the side of, you're not going to like this, as opposed
Yeah.
right. And that goes back to the AV rant with the Lumigen. They're erring on that side. This is a lot of money.
Right.
You might not see a $7,000 benefit in this. I get
Right.
that. That's how I go with like the Plex and stuff. With smart things. I'm not smart.
Right.
So if it needs smarts, I'm not your guy. All right.
Yeah.
Here's the part of the show where we're in listener experiences, and Nelson sent us a copy of a movie, but everybody is sending me copies of movies.
Right.
So we have a catalog of movies here, John. We've given away, I had to make an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
And just a backlog, we've given away 3. That's how far back I went. Poltergeist has been claimed. Everest has been claimed. Star Trek Undiscovered Country has been claimed. Winner, Mark won Poltergeist. Mark actually, Dan. I'm sorry. Dan won Everest, but then David Guzman won it. I actually forget who actually donated Everest in the first place. I couldn't try. And this is why I had to do this spreadsheet.
Make a spreadsheet.
Is because people were claiming stuff, and I was like, oh crap, who was that from? Where did it go? So
Right.
I've put everything in. So this week, I'm going to give 3 away
Oh, wow.
this show. Okay. But it's going to be up to you, John. Just shout it out whenever you want. The first one I'm going to give away is Brent Jones donated this one. We're going to do, because it's Halloween, week of Halloween, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Nice.
So we're looking for a winner on that. And as far as I'm concerned right now, just tell me you want, DM me on Twitter or email me that you want Bram Stoker's Dracula, and you will have won it. And there'll be 2 more later in the show.
Awesome.
And whenever John shouts out,
Yep. I'll try to keep it up.
Try to keep it. We got 2 more to go. So Bram Stoker's Dracula. Thank you from Brent Jones. He also donated 2 others. Nelson donated 4. Dan donated 1. Steve George has donated 1. So I haven't decided which one other the 2 we're going to give out this week. But yeah, so if you have some to donate and you'd like to contribute to the show and just give them, great, because I'll add them to the list and we'll just keep giving them out.
Yeah. Just
until
because
we're
some
either
weeks
out
you won't get any, and that way you'll have a bunch to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I'm going to have a pile of them too at some point.
There you go.
When I open these discs, I
we
haven't
can
even
just
opened
start
most
giving
of
them out. So first one up, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Let me know, and I will get that out to you.
I usually just redeemed them just for the hell of it, but
Yep.
I mean, I can just give them away too because I don't need to have the digitals either. I watch the disc, so
Yeah. Same thing. All right, Steve Radcliffe on Twitter says, at Legal Beagle OK, at Brightside HT, a great film is a great film. A great experience is a great experience. We try and do them both at the same time. That's why we have our setups. Also, I agree with Steve. Andor, not so good. Godfather was just okay. Have you seen The Offer series? I have not. Have you?
I haven't either. I was going to start it. I had it saved for a while, and then I just kind of moved on to other things, and I haven't seen it. But I was interested in watching that because I wholeheartely disagree that The Godfather is just okay.
I've heard The Offer is really good.
I have too.
I've had multiple people recommend that to me. Still haven't gotten to it.
Yeah, me either. But
Mark Perkins. Finally, the home theater is back. Just watch the opening to No Time to Die with awesome shooting of the car and the bells ringing in the background, the bullets hitting the car. Sounds so good. Forgot how well made this movie is.
Yeah. I still haven't watched that disc either.
No Time to Die. He's forgot how well made this is. It's not even a year old.
I know.
It's not like he's talking about like To Russia with Love.
The Godfather.
Or The Godfather, right? It's like, it's No Time to Die. It's not even, I think it was just out.
Came out last November.
Yeah. I've forgotten. No, just busting on you, Mark. That's what we do here because we love. But that opening scene though, when they start shooting the car.
It's awesome.
Spoilers, there's a car in a James Bond movie and they shoot
shooting
at it. Right. But the bullets hitting the bulletproof glass it sounds amazing. And then you go inside the car, you go outside the car, you go inside the car, camera wise, and you just get different sounds. Great scene. Great movie. So well made. He's 100% right. Let's see. Next up, YouTube comment from Werewolf by Night episode. Chris Brown, the Atmos in Blonde was incredible.
Was very good.
Yeah.
You just wasn't a good movie.
Yeah. If you like the kind of subtle Atmos like the clock ticking in Top Gun Maverick, DJ, you will really enjoy the atmospheric surround. There is a forest fire in the beginning that sounded all-encompassing. The movie wasn't amazing, but it was worthwhile for a home theater experience. Black and white HDR looked really good too. Okay.
Like I said, it had a lot of interesting choices for home theater.
Right.
I just couldn't. I don't know. I just couldn't do it. Like I couldn't get through it.
That's funny. But we do watch a lot of things just for the experience.
Oh, I do. Yeah,
right?
I do.
Yeah. So I'm intrigued. I may take it in at some point. Brockstar commenting on Thor: Love and Thunder, Disney Plus, and Kaleidoscape YouTube says, "All right, let's work on this a bit. I think I've made him angry, John. I
Yeah.
brocked it once, and now he's
You
just gonna.
brocked it.
I'm brocking it all over the place. Poltergeist came out before PG-13 was implemented. Red Dawn Wolverines was the first. The
Was it?
reason PG-13 exists is because of Gremlins and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. These had toys attached, and an R rating would greatly limit the success of the toys, so Spielberg and his crew and power influence got Temple of Doom to be PG even though MPAA wanted to go R. So they created a middle ground due to necessity, but also because Temple of Doom and Gremlins were very extreme for the time to be only PG. Obviously, nowadays, Poltergeist would absolutely be PG-13 as well. I am sure it was used as an example, another Spielberg example, haha, of why PG-13 was a necessary tier. If I had a schooled sounder, I would put it in.
I feel like nowadays it would be PG.
Yes,
It wouldn't even be-
Poltergeist,
yeah,
absolutely.
Wouldn't be PG-13 at all.
No,
It would be PG, maybe G.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I was going to get to that when we get to. It's one of my experiences this week. We'll get to it when we get there. But yeah, nowadays it would be PG because you could show a 5-year-old and they'd be like, "This is funny, Daddy."
Yeah, yeah. It's not even. This is a scary movie.
Yeah. When do we? What? Because of the ticket prices? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I paid for this. No, I mean the transfer is good. I'll talk about that then. But then the special effects. But we'll get to that later.
Okay.
The Untouchables YouTube comment. Blue Wave says, I was about to check out one of Netflix's flagship releases this year, The School for Good and Evil. Judging from the trailer, the AV presentation should be top notch. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it. I have seen
haven't
the
even seen
trail.
it.
I have seen the trailer for it, and it is something that I would normally watch because I like stuff like that. But it got kind of roasted.
Oh, really?
In the reviews. So again, I like to make my own opinion. So I'll probably give it at least an episode or two. But I didn't hear good things about it.
Oh, okay.
But it does look like a good home theater
movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Behind the scenes of the Kaleidoscape Experience YouTube video, PK Hemu 2005 says, talking of Hunter Killer, which has great Atmos track, I wonder why all the crappy movies like this Midway and Moonfall have such great audio tracks and most prominent blockbuster sound designs suck. All the smaller studios are giving killer sound design irrespective of whether they are producing a big or small budget movies. That shows their passion. Well, there you go. Warner is an exception. They always give great audio tracks, even on Blu-ray, and also give Atmos, unlike others who give it only on 4K discs. Hunter Killer disc starts with the Atmos unfold trailer in which the titles start coming. Here in our theaters, it's the most played trailer for Atmos. I still don't understand why the Atmos trailers are never included on the discs. Dolby should include their trailers in all the discs with Atmos. Here, too, only crappy movies like Hunter Killer and Expendables 3, I saw Atmos trailers. I think this is a missed opportunity by studios wherein we consumers can showcase the trailer to our guests before the start of a movie. It just enhances that positive vibes of the tech before the movie starts. I seriously hope Dolby isn't charging the studios some royalty fee these studios for including their trailers. Otherwise, I don't understand their exclusion on the majority of the event films. Do you have comments? I have a couple.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So first off, I think we, as the home theater fans, as we say a lot on this podcast, we are very minor percentage of the population. Most people don't even want the trailers at the beginning of the movies.
Right.
Most
Like,
people,
and I'll be honest with you, on Blu-ray discs, I don't want them either.
Right.
I watched some old Blu-rays recently where I had to go through the trailers. It's like, I don't want to do this.
But I can agree with PK here because one of my favorite things on the Laserdisc was when you got the Dolby AC3 trailer at the beginning with the train coming
Right.
through or the helicopter flying. You loved that stuff. You played that and everybody's eyes would roll in the room. Why are we watching?
Right.
Can't we just start the movie? You have chapters. Just get to it, will you? One of the sales things about Kaleidoscape is you skip that. There are no trailers. There's no FBI warning. There's
Right.
nothing. You just start the movie, right? Most people don't want that stuff. We are the few, the proud that want, like, can you give me trailers in Atmos?
Right.
Like, so I see both sides. I understand what he's saying. You want to show off your stuff. You want to do that, but it's just an ad. They're just trying to get an
Right.
ad out there. And to be honest, what I find I do now, I try to replicate the theaters is like, so when you watch like Rings of Power or something and there's a trailer before it,
Right.
that's the only place I see trailers now, right? So you
Right.
get that trailer. I actually have a setting on my lights for trailers and I don't put the volume all the way up.
Right.
Once the movie starts, once that dims and the trailer goes away, lights go down. I hit the button, the lights go down, and my volume goes to reference because I
Right.
want to be like, oh, this isn't the movie. This is just the trailer. When you're at the movie theater and you watch the trailer, the lights are still on for all the
Right.
trailers. And then it's like, okay, then you get your little dancing popcorn and soda or whatever. The lights go down. Now you're into the movie. That's kind of how and I'm sitting all by myself in my room trying to recreate this. So.
Right. Well, one of the things I saw on the Zapiti that was actually super interesting to me is like somebody showed where you can make a custom intro.
Yeah.
So you could have like a Briggs Theater and like some kind of Dolby thing, and it would play at the beginning of every movie or every Blu-ray. Like you could set it to certain things.
Yeah.
But the guy was showing how, like, if I'm watching a 4K movie with Atmos, I can have this Atmos trailer play.
Yep.
And like I said, it'll have some big logo that says the Briggs Theater and play this cool demo. And I don't know any other system that allows you to do that.
Plex.
Like my Blu-ray player, Plex probably could, but like your Kaleidoscape can't do it. My Blu-ray player can't do it. You know, there's no other way to really do that. And that's actually pretty cool.
Well, here's
to
why.
be able to do something like
it's
that.
because you have access to the files, the actual files. So, and you do that on Plex as well.
Right.
So when you rip this, you get a folder and you see everything. And and again, Johnny Speakers, Nelson knows Johnny Speakers is the newest. A few other people have Zapitis. When you rip these things, you'll look in your file and you can just pick, instead of go one for one, you can take out anything you want. So like all the subtitles that aren't English,
you take
just
put English
to save space on your drive, right? But the other thing you can do, and I never really got into this, I had people, emailing me and stuff. This is how you do it. And it's like, there's YouTube videos on how you do it. You can actually take an Atmos track from a 4K and add that to your 3D movie.
Right.
You pull it right out of it and put it right into the movie. And it goes right in. Well, the same thing you can do with if you wanted to, you could curate your collection that if you made your own video on the computer, it's just a file, just like anything else. You make your own video, like I'm making this video for us to go on YouTube. I could just you could put your home videos on the Zapiti, right?
Right.
But you could actually put that in front of every movie if you wanted.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you could have that trailer that plays.
It's a lot of work.
But it would be super cool because, it's like getting that Dolby sound at the beginning of the movie at the theater. You could do that at home, but like I said, only the Plex or the Zapiti, Zedo, only something like that will allow you to do that. So
because you have access to the file to manipulate the entire file. Right. So,
but again, it's awesome to show off. Like if I had that, I would probably turn it off and only have it on when somebody came over to watch. Because otherwise, I don't need to see my demo at the beginning of every movie.
This is stuff. There used to be a thing where you could send away for that disc, right?
Right.
So back in the 90s, I should say, back in the 90s, I used to look up like you could order. It was like $150, $200 to get this disc. You gave them your name, you picked the format, you picked the helicopter that was coming down the street or whatever, and it's like, welcome to Briggs Home Theater. And I started workshopping it, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to pay $250, $200 for the disc. I need a second Blu-ray player. so that I could, or a
Right.
DVD player, put this in so that this will play and then automatically switch right over to the movie and then get
Right.
that to play. So every time and you're 100% right. Like I was so close to doing it, but you're only going to do that a couple times, even just to
Right.
yourself. And then
Right. I
all
would do
that
it once
money-
for myself. And
right.
then,
And then you'd be like, now what? Now I
Yeah.
know I'm in the Briggs Home Theater.
right. I don't want it anymore.
Right.
But like every time like when I came over, you would show it to me,
Right.
or
And-
whatever. But like, how many times do you have new people coming into your theater? You
Right.
know,
Not
you're
many.
gonna show
That's
it off
why
to
I have
your.
Takeover Tuesday. Everybody's
Right.
dying to talk to somebody.
You're gonna show it off to your mom and your cousins once when they come
Right.
over, and then you'll never do it again. So
Right. And then
These
they're
things are
going
super
to look at
cool,
you
but-
and go, you've got too much time on your hands.
exactly, and too much disposable money to be doing this stuff.
Right.
You know.
Yep. So yeah. It's fun though. And hey, if you do it, I'd do it. If I was younger, I've just learned
Right.
that all these things that I've done, I've made a book. I'm still holding on to it, my 3-ring binder, because I put a lot of time and energy
I
into
know.
that. Nobody's
Listening
looked
to you
at
talk
it.
about that the other day was funny.
Oh, nobody's
Who are you
looked at
talking
that.
about with that? Steve? No.
I don't know.
Last Takeover Tuesday, I guess you were talking about it.
I'm
and
going to
having
go out on a limb and
reshuffle it
say
every
John
time.
Brock.
Every time you get a new movie, you had to reshuffle the binder,
Oh,
and it's
God.
like,
God forbid it was
that's
like
funny.
Braveheart and like everything from the B's to the Z's.
yeah, you want to only buy. I'm buying Q movies and forward.
Right.
That's it.
So
no
there's
new movies in the B's.
There's people listening right now that are like, why didn't you just leave a gap so that you could
Well,
do
right,
that?
but-
No, they had to go in order. Why? Why would you put a gap in? That's
Right.
not the way it would look.
Well, and then you're gonna have a gap for one B movie, but then if you get 2 B movies, then you still have to move it.
Right.
So
And
what's the point of
eventually it
that?
runs out and you're just like,
right.
but
You
yeah.
just have a binder for every letter, and then even then you have to shuffle some around because you have BR and BS.
But the best is, and people nowadays don't even realize, not only that, it's like I bought a movie, had to take a picture of it, get the film developed.
right. Yeah.
I actually get the film developed, right?
or print it off or something.
Get the pictures back. And if you look through this, if you look at my 3-ring binder, it like I had a system set up that I would lean the laser like a black backboard that you would lean. So you had to have the right backdrop. You had to frame it, take the picture from
Right.
the right distance. So it was the exact same size because I wasn't cropping these things. It's not
Right.
like nowadays, like you just take a picture and you zoom in with your fingers and you get the right
Right.
picture. No, there was a lot of work went into every single picture.
Yeah. That's funny.
And then you had to organize it. Never mind just the work that went into getting the picture. So funny. So stupid. And that had nothing to do with home theater.
No, that was just
so I
literally-
could get people to look at my movies.
Right. And pick something to watch.
Right. So this podcast thing's easy.
Yeah.
Van Gool, home theater experience, the Untouchables says, went to see Black Adam in IMAX yesterday. Our IMAX has a big screen and good sound, but the seats need to be upgraded. All I could think was how great the audio would be at my home, at home on my receiver. Do you guys think this when going to the theater? I think about it as I'm walking in.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time I go to a theater, I said that to somebody recently. It's not even going to I don't experience the movies in the theaters like I used to. It's more of just the preview of what we're going to get at home. And
Right.
when we get to our experiences this week, we're going to talk about Black Adam and exactly the same thing. It's like the entire time you're just looking at the screen, listening to the sounds going, that's going to sound a lot better in my home. I find that when I get home and I watch it at home, I've heard and seen stuff I couldn't experience in the theater because it just wasn't there. It just wasn't
Right.
possible. It's not as intimate of an environment, as I say. Carl's update on his Kaleidoscape, which I get. It used to be hourly. He's doing better. It's just daily.
Just daily now.
Yeah, but I just like to get this out to everybody. I get. I'll tell you the last part of this message. It was grr, with the angry face, the red angry face,
Right.
which is and then he always sends a big smiley face. But the man, the myth, the legend that is Carl, sent the message that you remember when he was on the show and he's like, why does Kaleidoscape make these big boxes? Why can't they just a small box, simple hard drive, small hard drive, and just let people download and erase? What's the big deal? What's the problem? Yeah, he's almost full.
Yeah.
He's almost full. So he's getting there. He's got a 6 terabyte hard drive and he's at almost 4 now. So he's going to be filling that up fairly soon. He's only had it like a month, 2 months, maybe.
It'll
tops.
be full.
It'll be full. And then he'll be tired of download. And he's got the Strata. So he's going to be upgrading one way or the other. He's going to either update to a Tera so that he can get it faster back and forth, or he's going to add a bigger hard drive, which is a Tera, and he's going to be downloading faster, but he's going to have a bigger hard drive. I don't understand why they're making it, but I'm buying it.
Right. But I have it.
I think he has that as a bumper sticker. I don't understand. I just keep buying.
Right.
Love you, buddy. Blue Wave says to King Arthur. That's an older one.
Oh, that was old, yeah.
Well, not old,
ago.
but months ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Loved the Old Guard. Really enjoyable home theater experience.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned that there. Either that or he's just being random.
We probably talked about it.
We did.
That. Yeah.
Oh, I love the Old Guard.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we definitely talked about that there because I watched it again. I think, and you watched it like a couple weeks later, right?
Yeah, as I say, I watched it again recently.
Yeah.
So
we both did.
We were probably talking about it there.
Yeah.
That we had both rewatched it.
Yeah,
great movie.
Yep. Dan sent me a list of 4K, like all these 4Ks, like kind of the idea I want to do, and he found it from an Make MKV forum. It's a Google Share doc of all the movies, and it's got it. They're all cataloged, and like whether it has Atmos, whether it has this and that. So it was pretty cool. It's not, I mean, it's kind of the idea of what I want to do, but I want to add the description so you can go in and say, this is reference. And they do have that too. They had reference, really good. I think it had a rating to it too, but he sent that to me and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Where'd you get it? So he told me where he got it and he goes, I thought it would be great for you to have. He goes, remember, this is Dan Carpenter, not Steve George, not John Brock. Omar, LOL. He goes, your buddy in the home theater community, Dan. So
that's awesome.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
And this one here. So this I've been dying to do. So did you read Ralph Potts, his review of Top Gun Maverick?
I did not. No.
Okay. Well, let me read you a snippet and why Ralph Potts is Ralph Potts and DJ is DJ. So when I review a movie, and I don't consider myself a reviewer, and this is why, because I am not Ralph Potts. Ralph Potts is like John Lennon. And I am like, I don't know. I'm like,
Weird
you know who I am? No. You know what? Chris Farley. That was awesome. Did you see that part when the jet goes by? That was awesome. It's so cool, right? Right. And then that other part when the jet goes by, so cool. Here's a clip of Ralph Potts. In listening to the Dolby Atmos surround mix, I found it to be an entertaining listening experience that made excellent use of the platform. The immersive mix complements the already top-notch soundtrack and enhances the experience of watching the film. The use of audio objects placed above and at ear level is a mix of atmospherics, discrete effects, and music. The film's active moments swallow you up as the revolving, rotating, and all-encompassing surround sound comes at you from all sides. The attention to detail here is noticeably on display, with the training sequences beginning with the initial one through the one that Maverick completes on his own being good examples. This is not an Atmos mix that makes continual use of sound objects in the height plane. Rather, uses the overheads to accentuate pointed effects that blend with the bed channels. It also works in a seamlessly and effective manner. It all works. I even screwed it up. This guy is like Shakespeare, for God's sakes.
I
And
know. I'm like, it has punchy bass.
right. I'm like, I felt it like a gorilla hitting me in the chest. Duh.
Yeah.
Go see
I'm thinking
it.
about my notes for what we're going to talk about later. It's like pretty decent bass. That's my note.
I know. I'm like, and it goes on. It was you read it and it's poetry, for God's sakes, right? You're
Right.
like, I'm like, are you kidding me? And I texted him. I was like, I'm going to do this week in the podcast. I'm like, I didn't tell him what I was going to do, but I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, it's like, this is his final paragraph. It goes on from there. It's like, this is his final paragraph. Just on Atmos. This is just on the Atmos track. This is a more or less ostentatious audio presentation that offers engaging bass extension that produces smooth, palpable, rich frequencies that energize the room. Dialogue is reproduced with lucid expression and exacting clarity. End to end, this is an attention-grabbing home theater presentation that plays perfectly to the film's thematic content. Crank it up and enjoy. He used ostentatious.
I know. That's awesome.
Palpably.
I had to stop and look that up.
I'm like, and not only that, attention grabbing, he put the little dash in between it.
Right.
I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like,
That's
people
awesome.
read this and then they're like, come and listen to us. And I'm like, why does he even talk to DJ?
Right.
That's like, he's just talking down to that little kid in the park. Oh, you're a good little boy.
Right. Pat me on the head and
That's
send
cute.
me on my way.
That's cute. Look at them go. I can't speak like this. Never mind write it.
Right.
Oh my God. Great.
That's funny.
I mean, he's, like I said, he's John Lennon. He's Shakespeare. I'm like, Chris Farley. It's awesome. So good. And I work so hard at not sounding like Chris Farley.
I know.
I work hard to get that like notch above his joke of what I am.
Right.
Like Chris Farley, I mean. Oh man. So I read this and I was just like, oh man, so good.
Yeah.
It also helps that I agree with everything he's saying. I'm just like,
Well, yeah.
and when you read it, you're going, this is what I'm thinking. I'm just not smart enough to think this way.
Right.
So funny.
I've seen it and I didn't even know.
Right. I'm like, I've experienced this movie more times than he has. And I know. And I'm like, I'm thinking everything, like, I agree with everything he's saying. And it's like, when you read stuff like that you're like, that's what that word means.
Right.
Like, oh.
That's what I meant to say.
I was using that wrong. Like, honey, I'm not feeling ostentatious. That's a different thing. I'm fine. I thought that meant something else. Oh, all right. Jonathan from Tuesday's podcast. He's like, I watched the entire video of our talk last night in the green room with a critical ear. I thought I did okay, but there is definitely room for improvement. I think I can do better if I get invited back sometime. You are much more polished than I am, which makes sense. It was really fun listening to it. I have some friends and family who don't know what a home theater is working their way through it this morning. Is there somewhere that people post comments about this episode? And that's what I said before. Yeah, but I wasn't going to read this, but then I wanted to because I think it's great for Jonathan to hear this. I think it's great for anybody that hasn't been on the show to hear this. Jonathan, and I replied to Jonathan. I think he's being more critical of himself.
It sounded fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I
It
listened
sounds
to the whole
great.
thing
Yeah.
and I thought it was great.
Where the thing about podcasting, it's not necessarily that you get better. Yeah, there are little things that you and I have talked about and we've worked on over 4 years, and it's not like we're
Right.
awesome professionals. Or
I was just
anything.
saying, I'm not even
It's-
good now.
No,
but
it's really, what's the big thing that we noticed? We're just more
I was just
comfortable.
being comfortable.
Yes,
Yeah, just
being comfortable with
talking.
being me, right? And that's what it is. It's like, so
Right.
when you watch yourself or listen to yourself in a podcast for the first time, you're going to be like, oh my God, why did I say that? Why did I sound like that? If you did it every week, it's not necessarily that you get better. You just get more forgiving of what you are. And by being more comfortable, then things flow a little bit easier. So, but again, you're picking out Jonathan and everybody that's been on the show that thinks they can improve. You're doing great. Everybody's been great. I feel I think like you and I sit here, we've been doing this multiple times a week. Well, I have for years. And I'm like, and I have people on every week, and I'm like, these guys are just as good as me. Like, what are we doing?
They sound better than I do.
I'm pushing buttons on this side to make it happen, but I'm like, hey, we're all having a conversation. We're having fun. It's just natural. Let's just have fun. And Jonathan, you did great. Everybody's done great. It is, and I appreciate everybody. I know how daunting it is. I said last year or earlier this year when I had Rich Keefe on from Talk Radio in Boston. He's on my podcast, and I was like crapping my pants. I screwed it up. You get nervous. I get it. And so I appreciate everybody coming on. When I say I appreciate it, I can appreciate the stress. I appreciate the nervousness, but you're all doing great. And everybody's had fun. And do you hear the end when Jonathan, he goes, it flew by. And I'm like, I can't wait for the guy that comes on and goes, this thing's dragging.
Yeah, this thing's taking a long time.
Yeah, like, when are we done? It's been 10 minutes. All right, time to pull the plug.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. Martin Anderson says, this one came in just today. He says, I at Side HT at Arkham Comics. I know DJ isn't that big into Doctor Who, but did you guys see who the new Doctor is? I am very excited. I did not. Did you?
Yeah, I won't even pretend to pronounce his name, but he's on the show Sex Education on Netflix. He plays one of the characters on that. Yeah, super excited. I think he's going to be great. A lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Actually, Jodie Whittaker's last episode just aired Sunday night. I watched like half of it last night, and I was falling asleep, so I turned it off. I'll finish it when we're done here. But yeah, we should be seeing him soon.
Cool.
But yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think he's going to be really good. So.
All right. That should do. That's it for listener experiences. Now it's time we go across the pond, and for a show that we're trying to go fast through.
I know we're not.
We are not. So let's get across the pond really quick here. Hey, Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, DJ. Not too bad. Thanks. Not too bad. It has been a long weekend on call, though, as we were just talking about off air. So if at any point during this you hear snoring, it's me, and just give me a kick, would you? It's fine.
That doesn't bode well for me. That means I went on some kind of a monologue and you dozed off.
Or I just unwound like some sort of toy that needs to be wound up. But So it's been a long weekend, but it's all good. As always, it's always nice at the end of a long weekend, long day, to just, as I said last week, to just sit down and chat. Cool stuff.
I know.
It's all good.
The fun stuff. That fun stuff. So, what do we have? I'm not sure what we have for crossover talk this week on what I haven't really seen much of your tweets this week, or if you've even tweeted much about your content this week.
Yeah, I have a little bit. Because we recorded last week on Wednesday. Yeah. And obviously we're recording today on Monday. So of course I've had 2 days less to pack in the content.
Yeah.
So that's my defense being laid down right from the very beginning.
There you go.
But honestly, I did think when you said earlier, let's do this today. I was thinking, have I watched much? I'm not sure. But then as I've sort of thought about it, and by the way, this will tell you how much we watch, okay, and how much we see, and me in particular. The way I record it is by going back through my tweets.
Yeah.
And so I go back through those and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I saw that. Oh yeah, I saw that. So that's what I've done. So there is stuff to talk about. But before we get into that, have you seen Men? Did you get a chance to see it?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Right, there you go.
So,
honestly.
Do we want to get to that? I saw, I'm going to talk about it with John coming up. But I watched Cabin in the Woods.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Chris Hemsworth. Although he's not in it very long. Spoiler alert. It's yes.
The spoiler
I
alert's
like
supposed to
Cabin in the
come
Woods.
before the spoiler, just to let you know.
Then Patrick Stewart turns up, and
Right.
and then
So
did you not enjoy it?
no.
Okay, all right.
So yeah. I mean, we
Yeah.
could get into it here, and then I'll say to John, I'll just tell John that I got into it with you too.
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Okay.
It,
I mean, the whole thing is a
Yes.
deliberate homage and a pastiche. It's deliberately
I get
poking
that.
fun at this kind of thing. Yeah.
So what happened was I watched it, and
Yeah.
when I talk with John, I'll get into the home theater experience part of
Mm,
it, which I did think was pretty good. But
Yeah, it's a
I'll
Lionsgate film,
comment
isn't it?
more on that
Mhm.
with him.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
this whole it's probably better to talk to you about this because I'm just not a horror fan, right?
Yeah,
So
quite.
and I'm not apologizing for that, but what I mean is like so going into a movie like, Cabin in the Woods where it's
Mm.
what I read after the fact, I'm like, wow, I guess this is a really good movie if you're a horror fan because I'm reading a bunch of the comments and the reviews going on IMDb, right? And I'm
Mm.
like, I can see that. I can see where this is a joke and where not the movie, I mean, but the jokes in the movie and this and that.
Yeah.
But my wife and I sat there not being, I mean, she likes horror, but she likes the kind of horror I think I like. Like you're talking The Omen or Invasion of the Body Snatchers, even, Jason, Freddy, Mike
Yeah.
Myers type.
Stalk and
Those-
slash.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
one there. It's like but this one, I was like, it was just to me. I mean, I'll just say I thought it was awful the entire time.
Yeah,
I'm going.
okay.
Well, not the entire time. I was just kept getting led to, oh, this has got to mean that, and then I'm like, there was nothing. I was looking for a deeper meaning, and I'm like,
Oh no.
no, exactly. So for me, it's like it just didn't play well. And I was just like at the end of it, and I put in my notes, and it's funny. John and I had a conversation the other day, and I'm like, I put in my notes. I can't remember what it was exactly. I could pull my notes up, but I put in my notes like watched, House on the Lake, Kaleidoscope, just basically notes. And then the last line of the notes was, "I'm done with horror movies," right? But then the next movie I watched in my notes is Poltergeist, right?
Yeah.
And John
Yeah.
John texts me and he goes, and I was just busting on him, but he goes, he texts me a screen grab of that, and he goes, "You're done with horror movies," and then you watch Poltergeist, and I was like. We laugh back and forth, but at the end of it, I'm like, leave it to Mr. Headlines to go to notes and take it literally. I'm like, no, that's just my note to say I'm done with horror movies. And what it really meant is when people recommend horror movies with me, I can't get as excited as the people are about it because I'm not a horror fan. And what happens is I go in with that entertainment, anticipating that level of entertainment, and inevitably I'm let down. Right? I mean, it happened with Malignant.
Yeah.
It happened here. It happened.
Dog Soldiers.
And it's nothing against the horror fan or the movie.
Yeah.
It's just that's not me. So I go into it with your enthusiasm for something, and it's like I'm going, "Wow, I don't see what he's seeing." I'm like, and then I end up feeling bad. I'm like, "Why?"
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting that you say that. Now, when I first saw Cabin in the Woods, and I was really looking forward to that. I was just looking it up there on IMDb. I can't pretend that I know that it was Drew Goddard that directed it. I did just quickly look it up. I'm not going to lie, because I knew it was Drew something, and I was thinking Drew Struzan. I think no, he's the artist. Then I'm thinking Drew McWeeny. No, that's Agency Cool News. So it's Drew Goddard. There it is. So, and it was written by a well-known sort of horror geek. And so when it came out, I was really looking forward to it. And again, I didn't see it at the cinema. I saw it on Blu-ray, actually, although I've got the 4K disc. I imported that from the States years ago. And so when I first saw it, it didn't quite land with me as I hoped it would. But then as I've seen it, I must have seen it 6 or 7 times.
Really?
It must be. Yeah, or if not more. Yeah. Because I like the fun that it's pointing at it. It starts off as a typical office sort of workers kind of thing, doesn't it? And then you realize they're talking
College
about
kids,
something else. Yeah. And you realize they're talking about something else, and it cuts between the two and you're not sure what's going on. And I like all the creatures. I like the imagination that's gone into that. And so the merman and all that stuff. And
Yeah,
you're just
that was
thinking,
a funny,
oh my God,
funny
what
little
is this
play
gonna be?
throughout the movie. I got that, and I did have some laugh out loud moments, but I
Mhm.
felt like my laugh out loud moments were like I literally like LOL'd and then was like said, "That's ridiculous." You know what I mean? Like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's ridiculous." You know, and
But
I
it's
just
very much the point, and that is the point
yeah.
of
So I
this.
guess
It's
I
not,
got it, but
yeah, yeah, it's a horror comedy, really. Apart from as it builds and builds and builds. As I said, I like it for what it is. So tell me this then: what about the Evil Dead? What do you think about that? Because
never
that's a
seen it.
similar kind of thing. Either the remake or the older one.
Mm-mm,
Not
never seen
okay.
them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's hard to recommend them without being a horror fan. It's hard to say
Exactly.
see it
I am
because
so
don't think
excited
you.
for October to be over. Some people are like, you got to check this one out because there are some that I do really like. Like, Bram
What's your
Stoker's-
favorite one then? What would be your favorite one?
I answered that on Twitter. It's hands down. It's
Yeah.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
As in the original, not the '86 remake, presumably.
Not the 86. No, the Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, yeah. I only, do
That-
you know what? I only had that on 4K disc recently.
Yeah.
It's it got re-released. Yeah, I mean that's great.
It's
really
fantastic.
good.
I was, and it, but see, that goes back to my youth. And then having seen it since, I was like, wow, oh my God, I was scared out of my mind as a little kid. And it was my cousin was babysitting us and she let me stay up being the oldest. And she was only, she's 3 years older than me. But you know, when she's 12 and I'm 9, she's the responsible one. So my parents let her babysit. And she's like, yeah, you could stay up. I was like, okay. And we stayed up and we watched that together. And I was like, I remember going to bed and I didn't want to sleep. I was like, I was scared out of my mind. It was horrible. But that's a movie.
See, that's psychological horror, though, isn't it?
Exactly. It's deeper, right? It's deeper than, Cabin in the Woods. I was looking for depth in Cabin in the Woods, and I kept scraping rock bottom.
Yeah, no. But that's the thing. Horror might be, and I mean, let's not get too kind of into kind of cinema too much, I suppose. But horror might
On
be
a
one
home
of
theater
those
podcast. Let's go.
Hell, you know what I mean.
You want to go back to lawyer talk like last week?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, how do you deal with a guilty but yeah. So if you think about it, though, horror's probably got the most subgenres of any type of film because you've got, as you said, you've got your stalk and slash 80s, Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween movies.
Yep.
We'll talk Halloween in a bit. And then you've got your psychological horrors, which I think are things like exactly like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I think even more recent horror like Midsummer, The Witch are more psychological. They're not gory. There's a bit of gore in Midsummer, but they're not out and out gore. There's definitely more going on. And then and Men, I would put in that bracket. And then you've got your what one of the critics over here, Mark Kermode, calls your quiet bang films, which are your sort of your haunted house ones, and you've got those as well. And so horror has lots of these different subgenres. And I think there's nothing wrong with liking some and not liking others.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a colleague of mine who's a solicitor who's a big art house movie fan. That's what she likes. And I was talking to her the other day about Men, and she said, wait a minute, is that some sort of folk horror thing? And I said, yeah. She goes, I can't watch those. I just can't watch them. And she gets too upset and scared at them. And she said, I just can't do it. And so it's perfectly acceptable to like some and not others. But I think Cabin in the Woods is all fun and games. There's nothing more deeper than that. And I think Evil Dead's probably about the same. Although the remake of that, if you want something that is just gonzo gore and crazy, it's fantastic. And that one has an audio mix, DTS HD audio mix on that will relocate your room several feet to the right or left. I mean, and right from the beginning, you turn it on, and like the opening credits, it says Evil Dead, and it just goes like that, and you're like, oh, just right back in your seat. But again, it's not going to be for you if it's not, you want something deeper.
Right?
Have you seen Midsummer? Have you seen that or The Witch?
Nope.
You see, I see those would be, again, I'd be interested to see what you think of them, although, not recommending horror films.
I think what I need to do is like when somebody recommends them, like go back, check out the trailers, read a little bit about it before I get into it so I know what I'm expecting. Because like, it's not like I've never seen and don't look forward to horror movies. When I see the trailers for them and I'm like, oh, that's going to be good. Or I understand. Did you see Nope yet?
No,
Okay.
nope.
Yeah, nope. No.
Nope. I haven't because I'm waiting for it to come out here. It's out here middle
Okay.
of November. It's out there tomorrow, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
We get
Yeah.
it mid-November, but that's one of those films, a Jordan Peele film where there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see that where I can just concentrate on the screen and not have people around me annoying me.
The thing for me is the trailers for that one didn't look very good to me because it was kind of actually, I think one trailer looked pretty good, but then another trailer I saw looked like it was more of a comedy. And then when I saw the trailers in the theaters, I was like, what the? I ended up losing more interest the more different trailers I saw. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? But I'm hearing the reviews on it are really good. But now I'm like, should I just go? Is it a horror movie? Should I just go with my first instinct that I might not like it? And which means going into it, at least I have an idea, like I'm probably not going to like this, but I heard it's a good home theater experience and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know.
Have you seen Jordan Peele's other ones? Have you seen Get Out?
Yeah, I love that. I loved
what was
Get
the
Out.
second one? Yeah, which again is a psychological horror film, actually, lots of layers to that. And I think the follow-up, it's not they, is it them?
No, I didn't see that.
What's the follow-up?
see
The
the
one with the
follow-up to
rabbits. That one has all kinds of different layers to it. That's a really straightforward. But then that would explain why with The Invisible Man, where when you first watched it, you saw surface level and were like, well, it was a bit silly. But then when we talked about it, you were like, oh, okay, right, there is more to that. And then you enjoyed it more the second time. So yeah, I mean, again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, there are all these different genres. I mean, I like them all. I mean, I have some that I like more than others.
Right.
You know, give me an 80s stalk and slash any day of the week. And I'm a happy camper. But I also like, quite literally, with Friday the 13th. But with Midsummer and The Witch, and these what they're calling now elevated horror, which is about as stupid a name as you can get, but still. Elevated horror, like there's some sort of elitism going on there, but those are great as well. And again, Midsummer in particular, it just transported me to a whole other place. It's a movie that sets a tone that just builds and builds and builds, and it's bonkers. Yeah. But a horror film that's set entirely in the day, really, really good and worth seeing. But again, if that's what you're into.
Exactly.
Have you seen, talking of the horror, have you seen The Babadook? Have you seen that?
Mm-mm. Never even heard of
that's
that.
Another.
The Babadook?
Well, okay. Well, yeah, Babadook. It's a how to describe it. Sorry, that's my thing on. It's a horror film with about a mother and her son. Okay. And essentially they are in a house, they find a book which is a children's story about this thing called the Babadook. Yeah. And it's the story is about, on the surface, this supernatural entity that is preying on them. But quite frankly, that film to me is all about domestic violence. I mean, it's a movie about domestic abuse, and it's a movie about it's about someone losing their mind and how they then do it. I'm not sure there's anything so supernatural in that movie at all. But I find it an intensely uncomfortable experience watching it. I've seen it 3 times. I saw it in the cinema and I've seen it twice at home. But I find it very uncomfortable, and I genuinely find it unsettling. Not because of anything supernatural, but because of the way the characters interact and the deeper, this thing going on. It makes my skin crawl, and not for anything, supernatural. So a different kind of horror again. But yeah, it's worth seeing again. It depending on leave it for next October maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
You've only got about a week left, so I got
a week left. I'll probably do a couple more this week. Just my wife and I'll do some of the oldies but goodies. But yeah, it's like I feel bad, but yeah, it's like I need a little more depth to my horror. And
okay. So what about The Thing? John Carpenter's The Thing.
Love that.
Right. So that's got no depth. That's just all surface.
But but so same with like I think of that one like Alien and Aliens. Those are horrors to me. People consider Jaws a horror. I don't necessarily consider it a horror, but I see it's kind of on that same level. Like it's right out in front of you. It's the anticipation, the suspense. I think that's what that is. Think of and that's where you get into the different genres, like The Omen, The Shining, The latest Shining with Ewan McGregor,
Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep. Love that movie.
Right, yeah, me too. I thought it was
Fantastic.
great.
Both The Shining and Doctor Sleep, both 4K transfers are. I love them. I just it's the more I think about it, there's a ton. I liked Poltergeist.
Yeah.
I think it was, watching the one from 82, my wife and I, we laughed, we had a good time. We're like, I'll talk about it more with John, but it was just, it doesn't age well, but the transfer was gorgeous, as I said before. And it's like, the sound is fun, but then but you look at it and you're like, the special effects artists have got to be like looking at it nowadays, like, I feel like a good high school art department could do a better job nowadays, right? With the technologies we have,
Yeah. But it was cutting edge at the time. I mean, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch that ILM documentary, I think John might have mentioned it to you as well. That ILM thing on Disney Plus. I've watched some of that. It's such a long thing. I've
watched most of it.
Yeah, I've seen the Poltergeist bit, and certainly you see how much they had to do on that. And you realize actually, that, they were pushing the boundaries even then.
Yes.
For that stuff. But I mean, The Thing is one of my favorite films. It's one of those films that I love so much I often forget to mention it when someone says it's really good. And things like, it's the same as First Blood. Someone says, "What's your favorite films?" I'll be up to film number 20 before I remember First Blood and think, "What the hell? That should be in the top 5."
Right.
And it's just one of those things. It's such a good film, you kind of forget it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So The Thing. I've got too many horror film favorites to mention. I love this stuff, but it's not and as I said, I like the various genres, and I get, as I say, how Cabin in the Woods could make you think, what the hell? But it's made for a very particular type of fan, I suspect.
Right.
And it's more of your kind of your typical old school horror fan, but I get that. But you saw Halloween Ends, didn't you?
Yep.
I think I saw something on Twitter. Now, what did you make of that? Because while we talk Halloween, so I've got another couple of Halloween
that one
films
there, and again, I'm going to talk. What John and I are really going to get into it because he, spoilers, hated it, right? And I'm like,
okay, yeah,
I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it, right? So it's like I am like, if like a scoring grade is like, a middle of the road would be 50. Absolutely loved it 100. Absolutely hated it 0. I'm at like 45 and John's at like 0, right? Worst movie he's ever seen. Yes. But I don't understand. Like, now to me, I'm like, I've seen every single Halloween movie, some more recently than others. Others I've literally forgotten, but I know I've seen them all. I'm like, I don't understand the hatred. I don't understand the like, and my 45 is because I'm like, it kind of felt like it's been there. Like it was like there was some things I did like about it. I liked the way they moved the story along. I liked a couple of things they did with the story, which I think that's what to me gave it a bigger grade. And some other people, spoiler free, there were some things that went on that they didn't like, and I'm not 100% sure because people are still trying to be spoiler free everywhere. But I'm like, I think I know what they're talking about, but I'm not 100% sure. So I think John and I might actually do a spoiler version at the end of this podcast. We haven't figured it out yet, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, you didn't like it too, right? Like very much.
It was the weakest of the 3. I mean, what did John make of the other 2? Yeah, the 3 new. Yeah, exactly. The recent trilogy. What did John make of the earlier 2?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, because that I think gives us a frame of reference then for this one, right? Because I really like the first 2 of this trilogy. They were to me the perfect modern interpretation of the stalk and slash horror genre. They knew what they were doing. They were dark, they were gory, but also in their way quite scary, quite well done. And I rewatched them in the build up to Halloween Ends, and I've got them both in 4K, and I watched that obviously. So Ends, again, spoiler free. I was lukewarm on this one. I don't like the choices that they made with the characters, and I think that but again, this is about expectation versus reality. I think when I watch it again, I will like it more, but I don't think I'll ever like it as much as the other two. I think it's the weakest by far.
Yeah.
And it's taking its cue from some other films from the 80s, which if I mention now, people will know what the twist is, so or the plot device is.
Right.
And so I think it had 4 different writers at the start. You see the 4 different writers credited.
Okay.
And I think you can tell that. I think the story is being pulled in different directions. You know, one of them is a sort of body swap type thing. One of them is a straightforward stalk and slash. One of them is a revenge film, and they're all pulling in different directions. And I think so that the story is uneven. There isn't a straight through line to it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which is a bit of a surprise because I think 1 and 2 did have that. I think it was very clear. You know, 2 takes place straight after 1, same night. Same stuff, same characters. It's like a locomotive. It's got a straight through line to it.
Yeah.
And then whenever you hear, time jump, and I haven't seen House of the Dragon, so don't do that. But whenever you hear time jump, I think there's always some part of me that thinks there's a story problem here because why do you need that time jump? And so when I heard with this, there's a 4-year jump, I was thinking, okay, they've painted themselves into a corner, don't know what else to do. And so they just go, well, we'll do 4 years and then we don't have to worry about, reactions to all that stuff. And we'll just start again.
Right.
And that's pretty much what they seem to have done. But I didn't hate it. I think I'm more with you than John. I didn't hate it, but it's a weird thing to do. And I think it's certainly been very divisive as I understand it anyway, from what I've read.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because I think there was the basis there of a really solid trilogy. But yeah, so I get that. But
I liked 1 more than 2, and then 3 more than. I'm sorry. Then obviously, and then 3 being the last. I think they went down for me. But I would say I think that you nailed it with that. It's not a straight line story. You're not really sure. It's not as convoluted as some other movies I've seen recently, but I feel like that you're right, especially with a Halloween or a Friday the 13th, where those are straight line. That's the point of the character. They're supposed to be just simplistic evil, right? Which they actually mention that in how she mentions it throughout the Halloween series, really, like he's just the embodiment of evil, right? So they kind of got away from that, and it's like you're like, what's going on here? And it's like, so it's not the worst movie in the world. I'm interested. I can't wait to talk to John about it, see why it's the worst movie in the world.
Me too. I'll be curious to see what his frame of reference is for it, as to why that's so much worse. It definitely takes a left turn. It does something different. Yeah. But the problem is when you do a 1 and a 2, which are a straight line through the 2 of them, literally it's 2 sides of the same evening. Yeah. And then you jump apart and then try something different. You can understand the attractiveness to it if you're the director and you're the writer. You want something different, don't you? You want people coming back to see it again and again. And I suppose that with horror sequels in particular, it's the law of diminishing returns. You make a bit less than the one before, a bit less than the one before. And so the way that you fix that is you do something different. You take Jason to space. You take, you do these sorts of things, and sometimes they
work.
To
New York,
and they don't. Exactly, yeah. That's when you hit someone's head off in a boxing match. It's all very hard. And so you can see the temptation as a filmmaker to say, let's do something different. But the problem is, as a filmmaker, you've always got to second guess the audience. The idea is you're trying to give them something they don't know they want. Because if you give them everything they just expect each time, then again, you get this law of diminishing returns. But if you give them something that they didn't know they wanted, then they will love you for it. Yeah. But if you give them something that they don't want, they will hate you for it. Right. And that's and by the way, that's the same as our Blade 3 talk last week. Same thing with that. They tried something different with that. Rather than Blade be the main character, we'll go with the whatever it was, the Wolf Pack, something pack. I don't know. But anyway, long story. I've been kicking myself about that all week. So same thing, they tried to do something different with the third one, and then it didn't work. I appreciate it did for you because it had Ryan Reynolds. And so that's the thing. So I think that's the problem with Halloween Ends. And I think that's why I might like it more next time, because I now know what's coming.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I get it. Now, what is interesting though is you're talking about the Halloween earlier films and the through line, because I have seen 2 Halloween movies this week, in the last couple of nights actually, which is the 1995 The Curse of Michael Myers,
Okay.
and then Halloween H2O, which is from 1998. So those are in 4K. So now we can talk some home cinema.
Yeah, there we go.
We eventually get round there.
We'll get
round
there.
to it. Yeah. So this is part of the box set. This is this one that I showed you last week, which was £114, which is a lot for 3 discs. It's a lot of money, but I have to complete the set, so I had to get them. So the 1995 one, The Curse of Michael Myers. Now these are the ones that I think you'll have seen and forgotten and forgot that you've seen.
I think my wife and I saw them all in the theater.
Oh, right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So this is the one about the cultists and Michael Myers just as the enforcer in this one. We're getting spoiler free, but it's 1995. And so this one, in terms of the home, well, the movie itself is questionable, and it's an odd way of taking off from what happened at the end of the last one. So it's a strange film. But what it does do is it looks very nice in 4K. They've clearly spent some time on this. Bear in mind the film's from 1995, but they've spent some time on the transfer for this, so it looks really nice. And the audio is all right; it's not too bad. It's only DTS HD, but again, we neural X everything anyway. So it was not too bad. What was interesting for me was H2O was the one I was really looking forward to. That Halloween 20 from 1998. Because that one I really enjoyed. That's the one that's got Josh Hartnett in it. It's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. They sort of pop up for the first time, really, in these movies. And what I was surprised about that film is that was quite a high-budget movie. It was made during the Kevin Williamson sort of era of Scream movies and all this kind of stuff. I mean, Scream was 96. This was 98. So it's got that kind of knowingness to it. You've got Jamie Lee Curtis's mum, of course, Janet Leigh is in it. In the car that she drives in Psycho with the handbag and the outfit.
Yeah.
So it's very knowing. Now, this from a home theater perspective, though, honestly, the disc, and this is weird for me to say, the disc, initially at least, is awful.
Really?
It looks dreadful initially. Yeah, probably for the first about 20. Well, yeah, because it gets better as it goes on. Now, I haven't seen H2O since the non-anamorphic DVD days, because Dimension and stuff and Miramax, I'm not sure they ever actually did anamorphic transfers, or at least not for a long time. So, of course, us poor saps that would have been buying them in their infancy were having to, zoom the picture up and you get your lines across the screen and it would look pretty poor.
Yeah.
I never saw a non-anamorphic one that was any good. Even the Criterion Armageddon wasn't that great. So that I haven't seen it since then. So I was really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be slick. It's going to look really good. It's a big budget, all this stuff. It's very, very dark, which is not something that I would normally complain about, but it's noticeably dark and it's really flat. So the colors are muted, this is not deliberate as far as I can tell, but it's very, very flat. And it really is disappointing. I started off thinking, is there something wrong with my settings? What's going on? And that's not. I've never done that before on a 4K disc.
Right.
I have one streaming, but never on a disc. And it looks terrible. And after about 25, 30 minutes, something changes and it starts to look a bit better. I put up some stills on Twitter. I took some photos of it, and they look a bit better. They're all from the back half of the film, because it's really disappointing. And interestingly, a couple of my Twitter followers actually tweeted out afterwards and said, yeah, we didn't like that. We think it's the worst of the set, which is odd, because you'd think that a 1998 film would have a fairly decent transfer somewhere, but unfortunately not.
Yeah.
So I was disappointed in that, and I'm not sure I could recommend that release.
It sounds like the video version of Ragnarok, meaning like Ragnarok sound is kind of flat. Ragnarok sound doesn't sound as bad as the video you're describing. It looks like it sounds like the first 20 so minutes are like you just lose all dynamics of picture. right?
Yeah, well, there just isn't. It's
what I
just
mean.
flat and
That's
it's
too bad.
murky. Yeah, it's really strange. I genuinely thought is a screensaver kicked in or something
Yeah.
just not set right.
That's
And no, it's not, because I watched the next one on from that, or at least a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's back to dynamic and everything else. It's really, really strange, and it's a Shout Factory release, so they're pretty good generally with their releases. They know what they're doing. So yeah, I anyone watching this that's got the set, if you get to or listening, you get to watch it. Do not get excited about the first half of that film, because it really does look.
Yeah.
It looks like it's broken. It's really strange,
too
and I don't
bad.
say that lightly. Yeah, having spent £114 on it, I was particularly unamused. And bearing in mind, it's a disc that I really like the film generally,
Yeah.
although it's not aged terribly well. But it's I generally like the film, and it was the one I was looking forward to the most. And then it's not really done it. So there we go. So that was those two. Now the other one I've watched, I know you've seen, which is The Lost Boys.
yeah.
So I finally got around to watching that this week.
And you're not a
Now-
big fan of that movie, right? You
No,
liked
I'm not
it,
a-
but you're
I'm-
not.
Exactly. I've never been a huge Lost Boys fan, and I was, I was that those lads that are the the vampire hunters sort of thing, the
Yeah.
guys who are in the comic book store. If you transfer the comic book to a video shop, I was those guys, but with a video store kind of thing. So I like it. It never blew me away before now, but I have to say, watching it, not having seen it for years,
Yeah.
and I had the DVD. I never bought the Blu-ray, and I have to say, I really, really enjoyed it this time. I thought this was, what perhaps they intended all along.
Yeah.
I thought it was great, and brilliant.
It is. I think it's super colorful for a movie. I thought the transfer it's grainy at times in some of the night scenes.
Yeah.
It didn't have that. I don't know. It's a movie from the 80s, so it didn't. Of course, it doesn't have the crispness of a modern 4K. But I thought the vibrancy of all the colors, where you've got the amusement park stuff, you've got the night scene. They're inside where they're eating the Chinese food. They're inside that old
The cave sort of thing.
cave area that
Yeah.
used to be. It's all underground now, whatever. But the details that you saw there, never saw stuff like this before. Never with this kind of vibrancy and detail in the shadows and stuff. And again, I think a lot of that is because it's such an old movie that, and it's nostalgia that makes you like, oh wow, like you're forgiving of the fact that no, it is not a modern 4K, but it does look great. And I thought the audio on it too was what's the DTS 5.1, and it's the music in that's what I remember the most from the 80s is like the the In Excess songs, and just it just gets you going, and it was just so much fun, and then just like I did with Poltergeist, but it's like you like just remember being a kid again. And this one came out after Poltergeist. Obviously, I was a little older, teenager. Probably I took a date to this one, and it
This
just
was
such
87.
a good time.
So
yeah.
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 I
Such a good
I
time.
thought it was great. As soon as the music begins, and a good track, you're in for a 4K audio treat, as it were. I appreciate that's an oxymoron, isn't it? 4K audio, okay, but you're in for a treat with the 4K disc when it begins, and it genuinely feels like the whole wall of your cinema is sending out the sound.
Yeah.
Everything just seems so wide, and it and it moves beyond the screen, and that's what it did with this. As soon as the opening sort of music began, I was just got a big grin on my face thinking, oh, okay, this is we're gonna have some fun with this, whatever happens. The 80s aesthetic, it's all very colorful anyway, so it transfers very well. And Corey Haim's clothing in it, I never really noticed it before, but it leaps off the screen in this. It's so 80s. And the impression I get is that this was, I mean, even in '87, this was taking the Mickey a little bit. It was
Yeah.
poking fun a little bit at the trends of the
Oh
time.
God, yeah.
by him
Didn't
wearing
they
the stuff.
have acid wash jeans on too, or something? If I remember
Yeah,
right,
oh,
I
yeah,
just
the
watched it a
whole-
few weeks ago.
everything's
But
there.
yeah, you're like the detail in that stuff, and you're like, it's like,
It looked great. It looked great. And this, so I mean, Joel Schumacher must be so happy with this. If he's seen it, he must just think this is what I was going for.
Yeah.
Because it's the wider color gamut. It's the HDR. It's what it was meant for, to make this stuff just leap off the screen. And yeah, I really got it this time, which I didn't before. I had a great time with it, and I was watching it to a certain extent under a little bit of sufferance, because I bought it and I thought, well, I've got to tick it off my list because I've got to, it's October. I've got to watch it now. Otherwise, when am I going to watch it?
right.
But as soon as it started, I was swept along with it. Like, this is great, and it's only an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
It flew by.
Yeah, that's what I was
and
gonna
it's
say.
like,
Yeah.
that it gone. Just like, wow, that was really, really good. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought that was good. And that's, I mean, I don't know if you'd call that a horror film. Probably not. I mean,
Not like a true horror film, no. But it's. I mean, what would you call it then? Where would you just like?
well, yeah, it's not a teen movie because it's
It's
got
not an
horror
action
horror
comedy.
elements.
It's more like a horror comedy type thing,
Yeah, it
really,
is.
because it's
Yeah, it's a strange one. It defies description a little bit.
yeah. It's the Lost Boys. They're lost. It's the Lost Boys. There you go. There's
But it's really good. I
It is.
thoroughly
It's a great
enjoyed that,
disc.
and that it is absolutely, and maybe that's the delivery system. Who knows? Anyway,
ooh, it could
moving
be.
on.
Oh, that has sparked so many conversations.
Okay.
Like I am scheduling future conversations because of that.
Okay.
One of them is one of our listeners, John. His brother is a producer of movies, makes movies,
Mm.
and he's going to be coming on the podcast someday in the future. He's very busy right now putting on, he's working on his latest movie right now, and he's going to come on and talk about the delivery system. And it's such a great conversation because there's no wrong answer, right? And it's like, I mean, we have our opinions on, we love and what ends up coming up in all these different conversations I'm having with people right now is that word enhancement. And it's like our theaters, the delivery system enhances the movie. And that's the part that in that conversation a few weeks ago is that's the divide between the people that are like, a great movie is a great movie, and the people like, yeah, but I got this theater that really enhances it. And it's like, please, people in the middle, it's that enhancement. It's like we all agree on everything, but now we're saying that you can enhance it. And I say we as in our community is like, we're enhancing these great movies, right? So, and it keeps coming up. People are, I'm getting messages. I'm getting, oh, I could talk about this. I'm like, come on, let's go. And it's fun. It is fun. And it's a reflection of the passion. So
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I haven't had any death threats yet, so it's all good.
well, it's like I look at, part of me wants to, and this is why I said it to you that day when we talked about this. I was like, be you. It's like, I wouldn't do what you did. I wouldn't write that. I would just scan over it and not even do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that you did what you did it make people angry? Did it do this? Yeah. But guess what? Look at all the great conversations we got out of it. It's not my cup of tea to push that button, but I don't want people to just go pushing buttons for the sake of it, because you got to be able to hold your own, right? Don't threaten somebody if you're not willing to take a punch. So it's like, and that's what I mean. I'm like, it was all fun. It was all good. And
to be fair, I've not had any, I mean, I joke about death threats. I've not had anybody come out on Twitter and go, oh, you're talking, out of your posterior.
Yeah.
No one, it's all been, any responses have all been entirely polite and appropriate. And to be fair, I even my original kind of comment without bringing them in wasn't nasty. It was just, look, I just can't be bothered.
Right.
So I think and so it's good, as I say, I think it's been an interesting response to it. And it is going to run and run. And I said, if it's going to bring a producer on to the podcast, then that'll be interesting just to get his perspective as to what they think of it, because they'll have a whole different viewpoint on it, I'm sure.
You'd be surprised, but yes. It's not that I don't think they have a different one. I think it's just, it'll be, enlightening. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
It'll be enlightening.
Yeah.
And
A
so
different perspective.
yes, exactly.
Mhm.
And that's what we want. It's like just get all these different perspectives, because the more perspectives you see and hear, the more you you might not agree with it, but you can see how people are interpreting stuff and how people are seeing stuff through their eyes. Just because you see it your way doesn't mean that you're right or wrong. You're not wrong by seeing it the way you want, whatever it is. I don't care what it is, right? So that's what's going to be fun. So yeah.
Oh, well, it is good. Alrighty. So, and then moving on, then beyond horror. Right. So this is a weird one. Now,
Is it November already?
We are taking a Halloween Ends style left turn now.
Okay.
With my next one that I watched this week, which I didn't mention on Twitter, actually. I probably should have done, but I didn't. So, have you seen the film, an animated film called Storks?
Nope.
No. Okay. Now, to be fair, neither had I until yesterday. Sorry, day before. So this is a strange, I think it's a movie that passed most people by. It's an animated film from 2016. And it's storks as in the birds delivering the babies. Yeah, that sort of storks.
I didn't know if you meant like
with a British thing,
like
storks.
that you grow, like
beanstalks.
Beanstalks, corn stalks.
Storks. I can't say it in America. Storks. Not dorks. Storks.
Big dopey looking bird. Gotcha.
Bird. That's the one. That's the one. Now I think this passed most people by. I think most people don't know this, or maybe it's just me. I don't know. But I started watching it on Sunday lunchtime. Just found it out of nowhere. Just put it on. Within about 20 minutes, I had the 4K disc for a while, and I just bought it because it was really cheap one day. And I got about 20 minutes into it, and I stopped watching it and thought, I need to see this in the cinema room. I can't carry on this way. And I watched the rest of it in there, and it was really, really fun, and actually worth having a look at. It's got Andy Samberg, and it is the sort of one of the lead characters, all his various sort of people that he works with, and it's really fun, and actually with some decent home cinema stuff to it. It looks good, because it's a 2016 film. This would have been one of the first. I think it is a Warner's disc. This would have been one of their first 4K discs. So it's got some slightly odd picture things happening sometimes. There's almost grain at times. Now, for an animated movie, that would seem odd. So to me, that's a codec issue, I think. But it's fleeting. It's not there for very much. But it's got some really nice audio to it, some decent bass. It's an animated movie, so you've got chase sequences and everything like that. And actually, that's quite a fun one. So again, anyone listening, it'll be dirt cheap now, I'm sure. As a 4K home cinema experience and as a fun film, it's well worth picking up and having a look at that. Again, I mean, you'll probably enjoy it more than Cabin in the Woods, but it is actually quite fun. And again, I know as a 47-year-old man, talking about an animated movie is a bit weird, but it's well worth it.
No, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's weird for older, like for us to watch animated features. It's like I love The Incredibles as an adult watching them. Mm-hmm. I do admit I've gotten away from them since my kids got older. But what's funny is I don't know why, because before I had kids, I loved them. I was I'm still I have not matured, Steve.
And neither should you.
Exactly. But like before my kids were born was like Pixar was out. We had the Toy Stories. We had other. I think maybe The Incredibles even came out. What year was that? My son was born in 97.
2000 and
something. But before my kids were taking me to the movies for animated features that they could see, I loved them. The Lion King. I loved The Lion King, Aladdin. Yeah. I went to see all of those in the theater. Loved all of those movies. But now that I'm older, my kids are done taking me to the movies for animated stuff. I don't know why I haven't continued and gotten back to it. I just don't. Maybe it's because there's just so much other content and just spitballing here. Maybe because I took in so many animated features that I didn't want to see because of my children. Like you go and see literally a kid's movie and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this is a kid. Oh, this is great. I love it. Yeah, talking to a 5-year-old, you're like, yeah, this is great.
Snoring in a corner.
Yeah, it kind of changes your view of it. Whereas before, I
Mm.
only saw the ones that I wanted to see. So I honestly, I got to get back to it and see these good ones. So yeah, don't be
It's
shy
well worth
about
it.
that. Yeah.
No, well, like I said, dirt cheap. It won't be very expensive, and it's worth it. It's one of those that's actually quite good fun, and there is some fun to be had as an adult, and and kids as well. So there's that one, and then the last one I think for this week, which I'm finally slowly catching up with, is Rings of Power, which I know I'm way behind, but
Okay.
I've just finished episode 6 with that ending with the
Yeah.
well, spoiler alert, stuff. And
Stuff.
it suddenly goes from not very much happening, but still enjoyable, to then all hell breaking loose in about 10 minutes. It feels like, I think it's probably about half an hour, but I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And from a cinema and home cinema perspective, I think the audio is really nice, some nice deep bass there. There was some decent stuff within the confines of streaming, I would say. It doesn't go as deep as the movies, put it that way, or actually as controlled as the movies are. Like the bass rumbles off, it goes a bit crazy, and it's not as smooth or as powerful, I didn't think.
Right.
And again, if you guys have already said this, apologies. I didn't listen to it because I didn't want to have it spoiled. So
No.
But I think the bass isn't as controlled or as powerful or as persuasive, if it's a funny adjective to use, but for bass, but it's not got the authority or the punch of the movies.
Right.
But the video looked absolutely stunningly good. I thought the video on the deep reds, the blacks of the sort of the caverns. You've got obviously the explosions and everything else. I thought that looked great, and I was really impressed with that. After I think most of that episode is it's not quite as demo material as I've seen previously. But once all that starts to happen, it's like, ooh. I was really, really pleased with that. I thought that looked great. Again, you guys have probably already said this.
No. It's
So-
you know what? I repeat stuff in an episode of this podcast just because I talk to you, I talk to John. I'm like, I know people listen and watch different segments. You have your fans that probably just tune in and watch this segment, so that's fine. That's the point. But yeah. So it's funny you say all that because your description of bass is great. I love, because I just spent a good portion of my morning today going over House of the Dragon. It dropped on Kaleidoscape, and John and I are going to be talking about this soon. It dropped literally midnight after the season,
The whole thing.
finale. Yep. So I
wow.
downloaded them all and I A/B'd, and I'll talk about this again with John. But it was the bass is the biggest probably difference that you can see or that you can hear. There's rumbles where that you just didn't have them. But what's funny is, like you said, and what I like about Rings of Power and House of the Dragon is they are very, very equal. When you go from one to the other, the quality is very similar, right? Great picture, great sound. You're getting bass in both of these. And now I'm talking streaming. You're getting you're getting bass and great picture and everything that you didn't really get in a lot of other streaming stuff. So we felt like this is very close to what physical is. And that's what, with Rings of Power, you jump over to Lord of the Rings, you watch that, and there was a level of clarity that was enhanced when you go to the physical. Granted, it's not one for one because it's a different movie, but you can see that your picture is crisper and more vibrant. Slightly, it's just like a film. Well, now that we actually do have that A/B and be able to take the exact same content from streaming at this high level of streaming and go back and forth, there is a difference, but they are getting closer, and it is really, really nice. I'll save the rest for when I talk to John, but it is really nice. The physical release is nice, but this entire thing is really nice. And then I'm looking forward to a Rings of Power physical release.
Well, I mean, let's hope so. I know. Was it Todd who's absolutely convinced that
Yeah.
it will get that release because of how much they've spent on it and everything else.
Yeah.
I suppose
And
the
the fan
other thing that
base. Yeah.
well, quite, and also I think the other thing I think that might trigger a home release, hopefully in 4K, though, that is something that
Yeah. Well, Jack
we
Ryan
can
is
but
out
hope.
in 4K with Atmos.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
hopefully
quite.
we'll
So
get the same
fingers
exact
crossed.
treatment. Yeah.
Well, quite, because, and the other thing is, presumably, it's going to be at least 2 years, maybe 3, before the next series, with the amount of CG and everything else they're going to have to do. So, of course, their perfect bridge to that, if it is 2 years, is, well, next summer you can have the 4K disc. Here it comes.
I don't
all
want to
singing
wait
and
that
dancing
long.
and extra. Neither do I. But you can see how if they're thinking, look, this is an unusual show, because there are so many effect shots in this. There's
Yeah.
so much work to be done. This can't be turned around in a year with everything else. So we're going to have to give it 18 months, 2 years, which I assume they must have to. Then you've got that stopgap is perfect, isn't it? Just to remind you all,
Yeah.
we are coming out, and here is a year later, here is your stopgap, all singing, all dancing 4K discs. And
Yeah.
that then makes you, oh, okay, here we come. So hopefully we don't have to wait that long. I
I
suspect
hope-
we might. But I hope
hope
not,
not.
because I mean, I'd pick it up straight away. There's no question, and I would be curious about this particular sequence at the end of episode 6
Yeah.
as to how that plays out. I suspect that much more smoothly, with more power and control, because it just seemed to roll off really quickly. It seemed to just go 0 to 100, and the subs were kind of struggling with it a little bit. I think in terms of it just comes out of nowhere, and whereas I've been used to the sort of the control of the movies. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how that plays out with physical media when that does hit. But no spoilers, because of course I've still got 2 episodes left. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
As a series overall, though, spoiler free, what did you make of it? I assume you finished it.
Yeah.
So what do you make of it? Is it still really happy with it? Because
Yes.
I've seen some sniffy reviews the last few days.
Well,
So
you're not going to
people
get
just-
that from me. I mean, even
but
if I
you-
hated
but you
it,
could-
it's not that
No,
sniffy.
quite. Well, there's not people not just hating it, but we've had some broadsheets over here, some big papers of record here saying, "Can we all now agree that Rings of Power was a dud?" And stuff like that. And I'm just thinking, okay, well, I tuned out of it at episode 5 because of I wanted to go back.
See,
and
what
I'm now going back through, and I think it's great.
Exactly. And that's what I would go by, is instead of going by the headlines or what people are doing to get clicks or headline, grab your views, just read what it's doing to people. Look at the comments on how many people, and they might not even talk about like Rings of Power in general or at all. But what they're saying is you're seeing a lot more people talking about The Hobbit. You're seeing a lot more people talking about Lord of the Rings. You're seeing a lot more conversations throughout. And now this is, of course, it's through my home theater lens, because that's pretty much what I've cultivated on my Twitter feed and elsewhere. But it's like, that's what I'm seeing. But a lot of people it's making you go back through the others. And I think that's a good sign. Like when this series ended, you wanted more. And I think a lot of people, that's where they're left. So they're going to go back through, like John and I were saying, like, I'm going to finish the Hobbit series, and then that should get me right to the holidays. And I am then going to go back through Lord of the Rings over Christmas break, which I normally do anyways. But I was so excited at the end of the series that I'm like, and your conversation, having the conversation with you about The Hobbit, that I was like, all right, I'll give it another try. Like, I've seen them, but I wasn't really crazy about them. But now, and it's been a while, now I'm going back through, and I'm loving them. I'm loving the picture quality. I'm loving the sound and the story. And I'm pacing it out so that I can just go right back into what I do on my Christmas vacation, is just go through Lord of the Rings again. And it's like, because I said, when I was talking with Jeff from HD Report, when he was on, and I was like, watching Return of the King, I was like, I had this Christmas vibe. I was feeling like it was Christmas time, because this is when I normally watch these. And I was like, I'm a little I said to him, I'm a little disappointed. I'm not going to watch them this year. And I'm like, nope. By the end of Rings of Power, I'm like, no, I'm watching them again. I'm watching them again because there's a lot of information there that you can get from the movies that you might not have paid attention to before, but now it's very poignant to the show. And I think that's what's fun. You know, it makes that whole shared universe type thing, and you're knowing what everything is going on, and that's what's fun to me.
Well, bear in mind, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes of Rings of Power yet, but when they're talking about Numenor, when I was seeing that, then watching the movies, you're like, okay, right, all right, now I know where that is and why that's a waypoint, because that's the end of Return of the King, isn't it? Why there's now a waypoint to the you know the crossover lands, whatever they are. I can't think of it. I do know the name and I've forgotten it. And so, you know, there are definitely things. There are things through it that now make more. The Southlands, which isn't really mentioned in the Lord of the Rings movies, but now you realise that that's where the men come from, and the kings come from there, and the line of kings. So all that stuff makes more sense now, doesn't it? So I think the story's great. I'm surprised that there's been any kind of backlash. Maybe
Are you,
not
though?
quite that, but. Well, yeah, but it's just there was well, I suppose there was with the Hobbit, wasn't there? A lot of people, you know, really sort of
backlash
crapped on
to
the Hobbit
everything,
and stuff.
Steve. There's
backlash to backlashes.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Backlash to the backlash. But I mean, I've actually seen reviews. We'll talk about it more next week when Top Gun Maverick is released. I've seen negative reviews for that, and I wouldn't consider them negative, but they're just, it's not what you think it is type review. Not as great as everybody's saying. Really? Really?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't see it. I don't understand it.
Maybe they're seeing it on a really bad delivery system.
No, one of them's got a really good delivery system, and he actually downgraded it. I won't mention who it was. Everybody listening knows who I'm talking about. He actually rated it high, and then when he got the 4K disc, he watched it on Kaleidoscape. Very, very popular YouTuber. And then he downgraded it after. And he's like, and he said it's very close to the Kaleidoscape version. He's like, so it wasn't a matter of it's not as good. He's just like, on second thought, I just don't think this is that good.
As in the film or the experience? Okay. Oh, yes, I saw that. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll find out. But
and I'm like, I respect his opinion, but what I'm finding is like the more and more people I'm talking to, that reviewers that I also respect their opinion, they're saying they're seeing it like I'm seeing it. So I'm like, where is that one coming from? Where are these? Or I should say, few coming from. I've seen a couple others that I don't really respect, so I just didn't pay attention. But then you see one that you respect, and you're like, wait a minute, where is that coming from? So I don't know. I'm going to talk about. We're going to have a big week for that next week. Todd Anderson's coming in. I'll talk about it. I probably talked about it with John earlier too. But Todd Anderson's coming in. And we're doing a whole breakdown, spoiler free, then going into spoilers of Top Gun Maverick and everything next week. So.
Well, hopefully this time next week I will have it because it's out here on Monday. So yes, we should have it. Which nicely segues in. You're getting so smooth at this. To new arrivals today.
There you go. Look at
so
that.
I have had one. Now I want to know what you think of it because I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Okay,
I know we're gonna do it. So Bullet Train arrived today.
I still haven't seen it.
You still haven't seen it?
No, because I want to see it. I mean, I think it released. Well, it releases this
tomorrow
week here as well.
Yeah.
Because we announced it last week. I still haven't seen it yet because this is what happens when you plan to watch it with somebody. Now you're stuck to both of your schedules, right? And it's like me and my son, we're gonna watch it together, and I think I'm gonna have to just be like, I gotta do it. I gotta watch it because it is good. I know that for a fact. Everybody has said it's a lot of fun and a good home theater experience. So.
Well, it's not only am I looking forward to the film, but I happen to know that Brad Pitt's a nice guy in real life because I've met him, and he's a very decent guy.
Really?
So, I met him in London at a premiere.
Can you get him on the show?
Yeah, no, I don't know him that well. I met him in London at the premiere of Beowulf. Can you remember Beowulf?
Yeah.
The Ray Winston film, the Robert Zemeckis film. I was at the premiere in London. Just by mistake, we were visiting London, and we realised that this premiere was on. And he turned up with Angelina Jolie because, of course, she starred in that along with Ray Winston and stuff. and Brad Pitt was there, and he didn't have to do anything or say anything. He was off duty. He was only there as her partner, and he came straight over, and he was absolutely lovely. And my girlfriend then at the time was just grabbed hold of his arm and couldn't let him go.
Oh no!
And she was
I
squealing.
think he gets that a lot.
I suspect he does. But he was such a nice guy. He was really friendly, really down to earth. He didn't have to say hello to us, but he was really, really nice. So so I'm always chuffed when I see one of his films. I always think it's it's good to see, because he whatever other stuff might be going on in his life, and I don't think Angelina Jolie says he's a nice guy now, but I think he was great, and this does look good. I missed it in the cinemas. It passed me by completely. It's one of those I thought if I'm going to see it, I'll see it at home. And it's a Sony disc, so we have come to expect great things from Sony. And it's Atmos, it's Dolby Vision. Not that I'm not fussed about Dolby Vision, but it's all the all singing and dancing. So it should be very nice indeed. And I am really looking forward to watching it. But it's still a part of other stuff to see as well. So I'll get to it eventually. Because I still haven't seen the Hans Zimmer thing. I still have not got to that.
I saw it again.
Did you watch?
I'm gonna be talking about that with John as well. My wife and I saw it, and again talk about it with John. But I told my wife, I'm like, you're gonna get Shawshanked, and she looks at me and goes, "Could you tell me what the hell that means?" I was like, "Oh, okay." So I explained it to her, but yeah. Hans Zimmer, though, make sure you have the time, I think, to watch it. It's not a horror. It's not scary. It's nothing like that. But there's emotion. I found myself getting emotional again because it's the artistry, really, of the entire sitting there and watching them perform. Right, watching the orchestra perform, watching all the different instruments, listening, hearing the different instruments, the way they mix this in Atmos for your room, and the way there's some segments where the drums, like if you're sitting at the drums and you go and you go around your drum set, well, that sound goes around your room a couple of times, and you're like, it's just a lot of fun. So. There's visuals. It's just a lot of fun. But the artistic side of it is like my wife and I just kept saying, and we couldn't hear each other. We're listening to it at reference, and we have to lean over, and I'm like, how do you write this? Right? Yeah. There's so many instruments, and I found myself like getting choked up watching these people, and then like the artistry of putting it all together. But then each instrument is played by an artist, and it's all of these artists coming together to do this. And then it's part of all the movies we love, right? And it's like all these great movies, and you're like, oh my God. And the home theater side of it. It's an amazing disc. It's an amazing disc.
I've got to get round to it. I'm just gonna have to wait for my tuxedo to get back from the cleaners, and then I'll be fine in my cocktail glass.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't sit in there with popcorn.
No, this is not a popcorn movie. This is a highfalutin,
Yes.
Yeah.
The nachos need to have a little ring of pearls around them. It's got to be done. You've got to. You really got to glam the place up.
You got to use cloth napkins,
of course,
right?
Yeah, of course. 100%.
Of course, yeah. But
the chocolate's got to be from Switzerland. It's just where it's got to be.
Yeah, not Hershey, Pennsylvania.
No, indeed. I need to see that. I do need to see it.
And I do love that. And again, and I've said it before, this came up because John watched it, but it's been on the podcast before. Listeners have mentioned it. I've seen it. I've mentioned it, but not with the description and everything that John and I have done, and now you're getting it, and then seeing all these people that are buying it, it's like out of nowhere, right? Because 2 months ago nobody was talking, and now like obviously it's all our listeners like, I gotta get that, I gotta get that. I was like, and that to me is just awesome. It's so much fun to see, because that's one of those things that you're like, well, that had to be from us, right? And then I've seen other people buying it and talking about it only because it's the because this person told this person and this one, and they're not listeners of this podcast, but they're friends of other people of the podcast. So you see that trickle down effect, and you're like, that's pretty cool.
You realize that there is a John Williams
Yes.
disc as well, don't you? That's the Live in Vienna.
Yes.
I think it is. He did a Vienna one. Now that's another one that I need to get.
Yeah.
It's out here. It's out on Amazon here, and it will be there as well. And one of my followers on Twitter, who's a projectionist, and he's very much into his music, and he's been talking about that and said it's absolutely stunning. And
Yeah.
I need to get that as well. I think I got delayed on that because Apple Music, when they released their spatial audio, there was a John Williams album on that.
Yeah.
And so I was able to listen to the Raiders March, the
Yeah.
obviously Jurassic Park theme and all that. And having heard that in Atmos, which is just amazing,
Isn't it?
meant that I didn't then feel the need to then rush out and buy this disc. But I do need to get it. And like the Hans Zimmer one, you can get it with the accompanying CD and all that. Not that we would
Right.
watch it that way, or listen to it that way. But yeah, so you can get it. So that might be an interesting one to pick up and have a little look at as well, or listen to.
Yeah.
Is that on Kaleidoscape as well?
Oh, yeah.
Because I know Hans Zimmer is. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that would be worth looking at.
Yeah.
Because some of that stuff, I mean, the Superman stuff, and
You know what
and
I
obviously Star
realized
Wars and
yesterday is it's the old, like with the Dark Knight trilogy, Interstellar, these movies.
Gladiator and
Yeah.
yeah.
This is the only place you can hear the Hans Zimmer score in Atmos
Yep.
because he doesn't
5.1. Yeah.
it's
yeah,
all
yeah. Chris
it's all-
Nolan.
Christopher Nolan's all 5.1. So it's like you want to hear these in Atmos, you've got to hear it here. It's like, so
It's really awkward though trying to time it to the film. Just as that bit comes on in the film, you sort of turn that sound down and put it on your other one.
Yeah.
Just turn it on, run it at the same time.
But what is fun is I did jump back last time I watched it, jump back and watch Dark Knight, especially after hearing it on Hans Zimmer, and you go to the opening of Dark Knight, and it's more, believe it or not, it's more dynamic in the movie because they're emphasizing different parts of the bass notes and the stuff.
Mhm.
But on that one in particular, I said to my wife, I'm like, I need you. She played the violin growing up, and I want you to see this piece from the Dark Knight because that sound that they use that's at the beginning of the movie, though, it's like a really high pitched, consistent.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. That's a violin, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a couple of them, but what's amazing is when you see it being performed, that it's the bow going back and forth, but you can't tell the bow like when it changes direction. Like if I played the the violin, you'd hear this is like a consistent sound, and they're pushing and pulling back and forth, and it's it's amazing. And my wife's like, yeah, that is really hard to do, and she was watching them do it, and she's like, yeah, and as soon as they change the direction, she's like, yeah, you see, it's like, how do you do that? How? It's just awesome to see.
Yeah. Oh, well, I am looking forward to it, but I will get the John Williams one as well. I need to get that. I mean, that's some of the best music that has ever been made or produced. So I've got to get round to it. But yeah, so the Hans Zimmer one and Bullet Train I will put in there somewhere. But yeah, it's just so much stuff at the moment, much. Which brings us on to next week's releases then.
All right.
Which moves us ever forward. So obviously Top Gun, yes, is on Monday. Now to you must be thinking, is this Top Gun 3 by now? Because you've had 2 for so long. You must just think,
no, I'm psyched. I am so excited to get this going again. Like I said, Todd and I are recording a whole piece for this, I don't know how many hours it's going to be. The two of us, we've been waiting for this. Him and I have been talking about it a couple of years, since the first time he was on. We were, because Maverick was supposed to have been out 2 years ago, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So-
yeah. 2019, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, it must have been 2020 because that's obviously when COVID
Correct.
hit. So it must have been.
Right.
Yeah. Start of
2020.
Did it get
The
knocked
summer
back
of
from
2020.
2019? Yeah. Okay. There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause
because
that's when we- of course.
COVID-19 happened like in December or in the fall, and then we
January,
were all
yeah,
the
January,
shutdown. Everything happened in 20 in the spring.
Yeah. that's the
So
one.
yeah, it was supposed to be like Memorial Day weekend of
Mm.
2020, and obviously we're here today, and yeah, but Todd and I have been like almost every time he's on, we're like, Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to do. It's We even
It's
talked
gonna be
about
great.
Iron Eagle once because we were so desperate for a movie with planes.
Yeah, that's a film I've seen that several times back in the '80s, not around its release, and yet all I remember is Lewis Gossett Jr. in it,
Yep.
and I can remember that it had planes
Yeah.
and kids learning to fly, and that's all I can remember about that
Yep.
film. But I remember loving it at the time.
The first,
But I'm sure it's
I
terrible
loved
now.
it at the time. The first time Todd was on, I think that's how. And like the first time he was on, we just met each other, and I made a joke to him. I was like, it was something about Iron Eagle, but we hadn't mentioned Iron Eagle yet. But he grew up. He's an Air Force brat, I believe, and so he traveled around like the people in Iron Eagle. And I was like, and he was explaining that, right? And I said, so let me ask you this. And I asked something like, so the way they planned that mission in, that's not really what happens. Like the mission in Iron Eagle, and he heard Iron Eagle, and his eyes went like this, like, I don't think we videoed this, so it's only an audio only podcast. But he just looked at me and he just went, and then he just burst out laughing. And it was so, and ever since I was like, yeah, you're Iron Eagle, but we've been talking about this for a long time. Home theater fans have been talking about this movie since before it was out. So it's going to be a big week next week. I'm excited for it. I'm not like I've been excited for this release just to be able to talk about it more and have people talk about it more, and it's like, I'm like, you can only say so much. Like, I've seen it and it's fantastic. I can't wait for next week.
What seems weird for me is when we were first properly talking about it, you and I was in Spain because we were talking about the flight back. And yet that feels like, I mean, it was months ago, but it feels like months and months and months and months and months ago. So it's so strange, isn't it? This length of time, particularly in this case, between the Kaleidoscape release and then the physical. It just seems such a long time. It feels like it was literally a different season when we were talking about it last. So it was from the summer to the fall. But I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be great. And I'm not clearly can I think of a new Paramount release that's been anything other than really good. So I've got faith in them. That the Mission Impossible ones they've done very good. Faith in Cruise as well, who he's such a control freak. I'd be very surprised if he hasn't okayed this disc himself. Forget the director. I'm sure that before it went anywhere, he had to listen to it himself as well. I'm expecting big things. So that's that one, and then we also get Scream 2 finally next week, which I thought we were going to get earlier, but actually finally comes out here on Monday.
Okay.
And I actually really like that film as well. I think I like that as much as the first one. So we get that on Halloween. So we'll get to see that. And then from November, then of course it all goes back to normal movies and you could breathe a sigh of relief for ready for next year.
I have Scream 2 in 4K. I got that on Kaleidoscape. I've got the entire series on Kaleidoscape. 3 and 4 are only in HD. But I have the other one. But yeah, I'm with you. 1 and 2 were really good. Saw those in the theater. I've seen them probably each a couple of times at home. The 3 and 4 saw in the theaters. I don't know if I really followed along at home. I haven't seen the latest.
Okay,
I own it. I've owned it for a year. I've owned it since it came out last year, and I
January came out in January.
I bought it on Kaleidoscape when I got that, so I've owned it, and I haven't. I think that's what I was doing. I was waiting to watch it in October, and I just still haven't gotten to it yet. I was actually, when my wife and I were going to watch, we were going to watch it the other day, and instead we watched Poltergeist.
It is decent. I like the new one. 1 and 2 I love. 3 and 4 I don't. And then this one is decent. It's a nice little reinvention of it. It's quite clever, but you do have to at least have a working knowledge of 3 and 4 to get what the new one is doing. It's not a reboot. It's not a remake. It's very much again, there is a through line through them. Right. But I don't like 3 and 4. I don't own 3 and 4. I've never bought them. I never enjoyed them. So, so 1 and 2 are fine, but I've seen them and I know enough to then get the new one. But the new one is decent. It's good. And of course, the next one's out in January or February, isn't it? February, I think. So there's another one coming. Yeah, they finished it. They finished shooting it a couple of months back. So that comes out in February. So it's worth seeing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like the Scream movies 1 and 2 anyway. So yeah, it'd be nice to finally see that. But yeah, so once October's over, then you can finally see Only the Brave, and can finally see the.
You're right.
Because of course, if you're doing Top Gun, I'm telling you now, it is worth seeing this film as a lead into it. It's not a horror. So we're off to the races straight away. But it's also something that having seen Maverick as many times as you have, probably more time than Tom Cruise, and the director put together, I think you'll get a lot from this film, not just the story, but you'll see where the director, from an artistic point of view,
Right.
is learning his craft, ready for Maverick. There's so many things in here that look like this is a director finding his feet, ready for the next thing. Now that might be nonsense. When you watch it, you might think, "What the bloody hell is Steve talking about?" But I do think genuinely, as I was watching it, I was thinking, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'd see that shot. That's him moving towards this and all the rest of it." So I'd really give it a go. Give it a go when you get time.
Yeah.
But when you can fit it in,
Yeah.
I'm going to start praying for a bit more rain for the East Coast. Clearly,
Yeah.
give you a bit more time, then you'll have no excuse.
Exactly. Like, I'm snowed in. Watch these movies. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Although you can still work in the snow, it's the rain you can't work in, isn't it?
No, I can't work when it's snowing. Not snowing out. I mean, if there's snow
I
on
see.
the ground, I still work.
Yeah.
Yes. But if it's snowing, it's just like rain. I can't work.
So the only way to do it is to, when there's snow on the ground, get outside with some big fans. So Jen will think it's snowing, and then you can just, look, I can't go to work.
If it's windy enough and it's dry snow on the ground, I can't work because it'll blow it around and I can't. So same thing.
Course.
Same thing. It's very finicky what I do.
The only way.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
So,
but yeah, so that's it for our new releases next week. That's all we get. But Top Gun is big enough for everybody.
yeah.
So that'll be all right. I mean, they're going to make some serious money on that when that comes out. That's the sort of film that's going to be number one right up till Christmas, if not beyond. Everybody and their cat, I'm sure, will be buying that.
It's going to be playing on toasters.
Yeah, well, quite. It'll be interesting to see what the split is with that between 4K and Blu-ray and DVD, because I surely most people are not buying that on DVD. But we'll see, I suppose.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. It is a good point. That'll be interesting to see. I'm getting. I can't remember which one I ordered. I think I ordered the big box set for it, and so whenever that comes in, I'll be comparing it. But from everything I've heard, it's pretty much identical to the Kaleidoscape. So
yeah, well, it should be, shouldn't it? It should be.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I am looking forward to it. It's going to be great. I mean, like I said to you, when I got back from Spain, having bought the digital copy while I was over there, and I was really keen to get that on the, in the cinema room. And I was immediately struck by the lack of bass compared to what I had been expecting and had been, watching with other stuff. So to get this with the first bass note, as you said, as soon as Top Gun comes up, I'm really looking forward to that. And then to finally, because I haven't watched it all the way through since I've been back, because I've been waiting. I just thought, no, I don't want to see it an anemic version. I want to see it properly. And I've watched a few little clips on the iPad and stuff, but I haven't watched it all the way through. And so now it's, go time, and really give it some and see what happens, and try not to fracture the foundations of the house. We'll see. It's got a concrete base, but.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's great. It really is. It's. I mean, the bass isn't like Lucy, but it doesn't need to be. It's like
no. Yeah,
right. It's punctual. Right. It's precise.
You want
it's
exactly
all of that.
That's what you want. Yeah, you want force, but you want it controlled again.
Exactly.
You don't want it just going bananas, because then it takes you out of the film.
Right.
Certain bass notes are so deep that you're just like, well, again, it's the opening of Edge of Tomorrow, isn't it? It's so
very much
just
so,
rattling. It's not controlled, and then that can take you out of the film, which is not what they want to do. So powerful but controlled, and Paramount are good at that. I think Sony sometimes with like Monster Hunter and stuff like that gets on occasions just goes
Right.
bananas. Whereas I think Paramount generally their discs are strong and muscular bass, but not
Yeah.
make the ceiling
Sonic
fall
2.
in bass.
Sonic
Yeah, do
2.
you know what? I still haven't watched it. I've got it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Not at home. I saw it in the cinema.
Yeah.
Um,
That's got some
so I-
great overhead stuff
Mm.
that Mike Schramm
Mhm.
pointed out on Twitter back when it first dropped. I saw, obviously I watched that scene. But
Uh-huh.
the bass in that movie too is just
Mm.
really, really good. And it's very,
Looking forward to
like
it.
you said, very controlled, very precise
Mm.
to exactly where you want it to be and
Mm.
the feel that you get. And it was obviously another Paramount film. So you're like,
Mm.
I think Top Gun came out a few weeks after that one did on Kaleidoscape. And I'm like, it's like almost identical. Like the idea, the feel, the everything, it's just really, really good. So
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Is this this isn't Mike Love and Thunder Schramm? This is Mike
Nope.
Box Cuddling Schramm.
box cuddling. I know. That's it. And rocking the sweatshirt. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, exactly. My wife was scrolling past that. Wicked funny. She's like, she says, and I said, there's no way. She was scrolling past that picture on Twitter, and because I had liked it, it showed up in her feed. She thought it was me. And I'm like, I go, Mike doesn't. And she goes, nope. He's got, like, if you scroll past it, she goes, just quickly, I thought it was you and you bought more speakers. And I was like, well, I guess I definitely do that. But and she goes, it was the sweatshirt. He's got that big smile, which you have. And it's like, I'm like, okay. I'm like, but yeah, my wife was like, pretty funny. But yeah, and I loved the idea you saw her put out on Twitter. I didn't know who took the picture, but I'm like,
Yes,
you know that whoever, like, you got to take, like, I'm picturing the entire thing. And I had talked about this with John earlier too, but because it was a great thing. But it was so funny. And what's funny is he didn't tag me. He just put it out there, right? So part of me is just imagining, like, he's got his stuff out and he just was like, he saw the delivery and he was like, oh, I got to go put on my sweatshirt and then I'll take a picture, right? But he didn't tag me. So now I'm wondering, was he just wearing it anyways and walking around? And then he's like, oh, delivery, take my picture. And then he just put it out there. SVS tagged me and told me that's how I saw it, because I hadn't. And the other thing is, I was out that night. That was Saturday, and I was chaperoning a dance. So I was like, I was all like in business mode. So I wasn't paying attention. I saw all this stuff at like midnight, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So yeah, it was great. Good job.
Yeah,
good job.
I've definitely changed his nickname now. Then, yeah, Box Cuddler Schramm is the only
Box Cuddler
it's the
Schramm. I
Give him a
still
new
like Love
nickname.
and Thunder, because you got to go back to that story why he's called Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Like-
By the way, did he ever resolve his seating issue? Because he sent his seats back, didn't he? He sent them. Having spent an absolute fortune on them, he then sent them back. And as I recall, he sent them back neater than when he had them delivered.
Yeah.
He actually boxed them up tidier than when they got
Yeah,
dropped
and
off.
I give him a lot of credit for that. He didn't say much about it. We talked about it briefly here, but he didn't say much about it. I give him a lot of credit. Like, a lot of people would do stuff and they'd just, after what he went through, first world problems, of course, but after what he went through, the excitement of anticipation of getting them and then getting them and being like, just really let
Not
down. And like, he didn't go out and bash the company. He just, he just took it as I talked to him after the fact, and he, briefly, but he was like, hey, it happens. And he's, instead of bashing the company or anything like that, he just went about his business and, took it as a learning experience. So, when a lot of people these days love to just get out there and just bash, and you're like, it's just you. You could really damage a company just for nothing. Cause,
well, quite. I mean, it was interesting though. I mean, I cinema seating is cinema seating. When you've got it, it's great stuff. So I can understand the why you'd want to get them. But then it's a surprise when you're then like, oh, it's not what I want. But then it's all about your room, isn't it? It's all about what you want to do in your room. Do you want to just have you and the screen and you're focusing on that and that's what you want to do, which you and I do in our cinemas.
Right.
but Mike's is more multi-format, isn't it? It's more, I want to go in there and chill. I want to lie out. I want to go on the computer. I want to do this, that, and the other.
Right.
Whereas, so it's all about what you want it for, and so yeah, I can see how it might not be what you want if that's not the purpose. If the purpose isn't just you and the screen and nothing in between, then I get that would be something I'm set up right, and I'm I've got a firm back chair, and it's a leather chair, and I'm and I'm doing that. If you are in there to lounge about, it's not going to work, is it?
Exactly.
So I get that. I get that. But yeah, never mind. So now at least he's back on good form, and he's got boxes to cover.
Oh, he's enjoying
so
his room. He's got speakers. He's upgrading left and right. He's having a ball. So
yeah, quite literally upgraded the left and right.
Yeah, that's what I said. Didn't mean it, but that's what I said.
Yeah, well, there you go. Like I said, I knew.
Exactly. All right. Is that all we have?
Yeah, I think that's it. It gets a shorter week, so we've got through everything, and yeah, it's the Monday, not the normal Wednesday or Thursday, so it's all good.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to schedule next week's with Top Gun. I would love to record that after you've seen it, so we'll have to work on that one.
Yeah, well, you'll probably be able to hear it from where you are. It's going to be at a certain level.
Probably not, because it'll be playing here.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there'll be some sort of Richter scale record of it. This is the
I
day
expect
Top Gun
the
came out.
tides on my side of the pond will be higher with the sound waves pushing the water my way. See? Huh?
It could be.
Ripple effect.
And vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's more of you guys, so you'll be, it'll be coming our way. We'll just get tsunamis crossing the Atlantic.
There we go.
Well, no way. It's all Tom Cruise's fault.
Yep. I think he'll
all right,
take
buddy.
it. All right.
Yeah,
thanks, buddy. We'll talk again next
Have a
week.
good week.
Can't wait.
Yeah, we'll do. All the best. Bye-bye.
And we're back.
Did you forget?
Well, no, I always now think you're playing a sounder or something because I can't hear anything. So I'm looking at your face trying to get a cue on if I should talk now.
I'm just waiting. I was like, are we ready? And you're like, yep.
Yeah.
And we're back. And you waited. And I was like, and you were staring at me like, did he freeze?
I can't remember where all the sounders are anymore. So I was like, do we have a sounder here?
Nope. All right. Yeah, we are back. Thank you, Steve. What a great conversation. Actually, I already had this one. So now, I mean, there will be.
So you don't need future DJ to make any corrections.
Nope. No, I am not going to be who am I kidding? I probably am going to be inaccurate with what I said with Steve. I can't remember anything. But on my flight back, John, I picked up another disc to give away.
All right.
What do you think of that, huh? Look at that.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So, if you would like Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, 4K.
Khan.
DM or email me. DM me or email me. Donated by Nelson. Thank you very much. That's another one of Nelson's that were donated. We'd already given away Star Trek Undiscovered Country. So now we have Wrath of Khan, and he still has 3 more to go that he's donated. So, all right. And we have one more to give away later in the show. So, digital copy. So, all right. You ready to get to 4K releases for this week? And I know this is supposed to be, we were supposed to fly through this show, but oh well.
Yeah.
Oh well. John, here we go. We'll try to make this quick. Top Gun Maverick. Coming out Monday.
Need it, got it, need it, got it.
Yeah. Monday.
Yeah.
10/31. How many dads are not going trick-or-treating with their kids this year? Sorry.
Sorry, I got to watch Top Gun.
Here's a box of candy. I'll trade you. You just go sit down and eat the candy. I'm going to go break the foundation. Need I read Ralph again?
The problem is I can't turn my light off and pretend I'm not home if my whole house is shaking. From the outside.
Send help. Yeah, exactly. I know. I mean, but yeah, Top Gun Maverick releasing a day early. The box set, there is a box set coming in December.
I saw like a steelbook set that looked awesome.
I got it. I ordered it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I ordered it. It's my Christmas present.
Because
So-
you bought it on iTunes and you bought it on Kaleidoscape. So
and I
might
have
as
the
well buy the
4K,
Steelbook too.
and I have the 4K disc coming on Monday.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah. I'm not waiting for the Steelbook collection set to compare and it's got extras in it.
Oh my
I
god!
oh, love it.
You could bloodshot this thing.
But oh yeah, I've bloodshotted that. Yeah, if it can, yeah, absolutely. Is there actually?
Did you buy the Voodoo stream too?
That's what I was
So you
just
could
gonna say.
compare?
I'm like, no, I didn't. Yeah, that's good that you remembered that though. Yeah, I ordered how many versions of that, but that one actually saved me because I bought it on Voodoo, but that also gave me the digital. I bought the physical through Voodoo.
Oh, okay.
And they give you the digital right away, so that worked out with Bloodshot. But yeah, so Top Gun Maverick, big release. But here's what else.
Here's what else is coming.
Here's what else is coming. Because the next day is November, John. So
Yes,
Halloween
November
is
1.
over. We are done
All
with
Saints Day.
spookies, and we'll get to that in the next segment. We are
We
done
will.
with the spookies. So we're moving on to Christmas Vacation in 4K. Okay? That's coming out on Tuesday, November 1st. Schwarzenegger, The Running Man. What a great Christmas movie, right? Fantastic. Dropping.
Right up there with Die Hard.
Right up
and
there.
Rambo.
Was that? It is. Those are Christmas movies. You loved that the other day when I
I
told
do.
you. What? Oh, man. Yeah, this show's already going long enough, but you sent me that. What? Did you not know I had that book?
No, I saw it on Facebook. It was like advertising for Christmas or whatever, and I sent it to you as a joke. And
Yeah.
then, of course, you sent me back your display, and I was like, "Of course, you have this book."
Of course I have the Christmas story book.
A very die-hard
a
Christmas, or whatever it was.
book. Yeah, that goes
Yeah.
on the coffee table. As soon as we get the deck, I think it's in the box with the tree.
It's a coffee table book.
Yeah, it sits as a coffee table
It's
book
in the
at
box
Christmas
with the
time.
tree. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So as soon as we open the tree, it goes right on the coffee table. Also, well, we have, like I said, Running Man. We also have A Christmas Story coming out in 4K to go along
Yeah.
with the sequel that's coming soon.
Yeah. So if I haven't seen that movie enough times, I can
Yeah.
get the 4K disc.
Elf coming out in 4K. You sensing the theme? And
I am.
another great Christmas movie, Starship Troopers. 25th anniversary. These are the ones that are like sneaking in. Like you couldn't have waited a week because I got the theme so far. Piranha, also great.
That's a great Christmas movie.
4K.
Yep.
So we're getting Starship Troopers 25th anniversary. Piranha 4K. John, are you in the mood for love?
Always
Okay, that's coming out in 4K.
in the mood.
In
for
the
love.
mood for love, coming out in
Don't
4K.
know that one.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one either. Let me pull up the information on this one. In the mood for love. All the other ones I know, they're all Christmas. I don't know if this is November 1st. Let's see here now. In the mood for love from 2000. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Not familiar.
We have the Christmas Specials collection in 4K. It's got Rudolph, Frosty. It's actually got the 3 holiday favorites, and I believe that one is Santa Claus is Coming to Town. So you can get the 3 movie collection. Also, you can get the 2 movie collection of the aforementioned Top Gun.
Yes.
So you can buy that. That comes out the next day. So if you don't already own Top Gun and you feel like waiting a day for Maverick, you can buy them both and save
buy them
yourself a
both.
couple bucks. Disappointing to you very much, I know, John, but I did not buy this version.
You did not.
No,
okay.
I did not. That's where I saved a few bucks. Okay.
For now.
For now, until somebody tells me there's
Yeah.
like a leaflet in there or something. that
Yeah,
I
there's
gotta
something.
Tom Hanks and The Polar Express in 4K. Also, Holiday Inn, Bing Crosby, Irvin Berlin, and Fred Astaire. Also in 4K coming. And the other 2 great Christmas classics. How do we forget these? The Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
Seems like those are late.
Yeah. It's like, what happened?
Seems like
It
those
was
are
like
late.
you were a day late and $1 short. What happened there? Then you can also buy Rudolph.
Well, they're early for next year. So.
Yeah, exactly. You can also buy Rudolph, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and Frosty the Snowman separately. Separately, but why bother? Honestly, we whizzed kind of through those. Are any of those Christmas movies ones that you would buy in 4K?
I wouldn't. I actually have the Blu-ray set of those.
Oh, do you?
Because I bought them like when the kids were a little bit younger, and those things just kind of stopped airing on TV.
Yeah.
Like you don't see those things anymore. Like you have to have Apple TV now to see like Charlie Brown Christmas because that's where it is. So, but I wouldn't buy them in 4K.
No.
I love me some Rudolph. Don't get me wrong.
Oh my God, I watch it every year.
I haven't watched it,
but I don't think I
in a
need
while,
the 4K.
But no, my Blu-ray set is more than enough.
Yeah,
for those.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I mean, I love A Christmas Story. I love
I love too.
Christmas Vacation. I watched that on a loop for a month. I love that movie.
See, I haven't been able to watch Christmas Story for like the last 2 Christmases because like I'm so burnt out on it that I can't even watch it. Yeah, I can't do it.
I love it in the background.
I'll watch the new one. Well, it's still on because I run it in the background, but I can't sit and watch it. I'm like just so like overdone with it.
Right.
Like I said, I'll watch the sequel that comes out next month or this month or whenever it is, but
yeah, I will too. But Christmas
But I don't think
Day,
I'll buy it. I don't think I'll buy that in 4K because I can't imagine sitting down and actively putting that on to watch it.
No.
You know?
I have it digitally. I bought it on iTunes. I have the Blu-ray. I bought, I've had it in places.
Right.
I don't use Sling, but I get Sling every year because I don't get the TNT on Fubo, so I get Sling for a month just so I can watch it on Christmas Day.
Just so you can run it on Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. So actually I'm running Sling now anyways.
Actually, I might not have it I might not even have it anymore.
Right.
Because now I don't have TV, so
but I love it.
I might not be able to have it this year.
I love it on a loop in the background. You're making dinner, you're unwrapping gifts, you're doing your Christmas Day thing. And like you said, you're not sitting down and watching it, but it's like having Christmas carols going in the background, right?
Exactly.
It's just part of my day now.
Well, we don't host anymore. So like we don't have Christmas here anymore. Like we're at the point now where the kids are older and I make them do it.
Yeah.
And I go to their houses and they have it on their TVs.
Yeah, everybody does. So it's like that's the common ground. You go anywhere you go, it's like this is playing. Yeah. So all right. All right. You ready to get to real HT experiences?
I am.
All right. Let's get the projector fired up here. All right. All right. How do we want to do this? Because we have one that we saw in the theater. That was a lot of fun.
Which we're not even really going to talk about.
We're not?
So much, right? Well, I mean, we can't spoil it. You're not going to spoil anything, so.
No, but I can talk without spoiling it.
All right.
All right. Do you want to lead with that
then
one?
we have our topic.
Or do we want to save that one?
Well, no, we can bring it up.
All right, let's talk about that right now since it was in the theater, so it's kind of a preview. We're talking, of course, about Black Adam.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Easy for me to say. I was really looking forward to this movie, and I wasn't. I was nervous that it wasn't going to be very good. I really enjoyed the movie. It's not the greatest movie. I led with fantastic, but I should have maybe said like it's good, but it's a lot of fun, right?
It's fun. And again, you and I are not big like Rotten Tomatoes guys and things like that, but this is one of those movies that opened really badly. Like it has like a 40% critic score, but like 95% audience score.
Right.
So like and again, I think that speaks to, again, it's not like a critically great movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's got some great battle scenes. It introduces a bunch of cool characters. I thought the Justice Society kind of stole the show.
Yeah,
In a lot of the movie.
good humor.
Good humor. It's got The Rock being The Rock.
Yeah.
But it was really good, and they did a good job with the introducing the character and throwing a couple of twists in there from like the comic book roots. So there was a few things I didn't see coming. And I think we both have the same comment. Like, this should just be great at home. Like, this is going to be a lot of fun home theater wise. Like, there's helicopter scenes and explosions and battles, and like, this is going to be a lot of fun when we get it in our homes.
Yeah.
So,
I have the trailer playing on YouTube, and you were like helicopter scenes, and there was a helicopter crash going on. It was
right there, yeah.
like we did it in rehearsal. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, perfectly timed soliloquy you had going there, John. Perfect. But no, you're right. I agree with everything you said. That was a great synopsis of the experience in the theater. But I think as far as home theater goes, this is one that I'm really, really excited for. Because
I'm looking forward to it.
It was a darker movie, like visually, like it had like a lot of dark scenes with bright, like just his costume alone, right? I can't wait to see that detail.
Black,
the black but then just the gold that he had in the middle and the textures to it. What I'm really looking forward to is, remember in No Way Home, in Spider-Man's black suit, and it with the wires and stuff on it, that you really just didn't see those details until you got the disc. You couldn't really make that out in the theater. That's how I feel about this suit. That's how I feel about like the scene I'm looking at right here, is where it's like the opening scene when he's got the cape on in the trailer, and he's got all the holes, and the texture of that cape, the texture of the hood, and it's going to be so much fun. And I would expect that I think the bass in this is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it should be great. Again, it'll be a Warner's disc, so should be really good. And it wasn't bad in the theaters. Now,
wasn't bad.
I see it in XD. It's not in Dolby. We don't have I think we do have a Dolby Atmos theater, but it's not super close for me, and it's not where I go. But it is Cinemark XD, so it's 11.1 sound or 13.1 or something like that. So I mean, it thumps pretty good. It gets pretty loud. Yeah. But again, it's also a big wide open theater, so there's no pressurization or anything going on. So it should thump pretty good at home.
We'll talk a little bit more about bass when I get to my comparison that I had. But yeah, it's this at home. I think the bass in this is going to be really good. I think the special effects sound wise are going to be, because like you said, there's a lot of action. There should be a lot of pans, stuff flying when they shoot at them. All the stuff.
I'm even thinking of just, I guess, super mild spoilers, but like, he doesn't use a lot of doors, but he enters a lot of rooms. And I'm just thinking like, that's going to sound like every time that happens, it's going to hit pretty good at home.
He's like Vision.
So, yeah, except
just leave it at that.
Except
He's
he
just
can't
like
make
Vision.
except he can't make himself intangible.
It's great.
He says line. I don't even. Yeah, I know. I won't say it. But there's a super good line.
Exactly. So don't say it, because that's what goes with it. It's so good. But the movie is
so funny.
But that's the thing, is there's a lot of. I think this nailed the humor where Thor: Love and Thunder kind of maybe missed the mark a little bit. Do you see what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
I do. And the thing too is like, yes, this is it's a bit more serious character, but like one of the biggest things I heard, the reasons why they didn't want to put him and Shazam together is because Shazam was such a light, kind of more comedic movie as opposed to this. But I feel like this would have this would have been perfect. Well, no. There was one-liners, there was some humor,
right?
And the contrast between him and Shazam would have been great.
I think it will be. I think what they wanted to do is they wanted to set each of them up. and
Right.
then you put them together and you get even more. Like kind of like Leslie Nielsen. The reason Leslie Nielsen nailed not Top Gun,
Naked Gun.
Naked Gun so well is that he had such a serious career.
Right.
Right. So it was this is Leslie Nielsen just being deadpan and pulling that humor off like that.
Right.
Whereas I think with what they're doing with Black Adam is like, we're going to give him that serious role. We're going to, it still had their humor in it.
Right.
But
That's
now
what I'm saying.
you
There
put
was
him
plenty
with
of humor interjected in there, you know?
Right. But do you see the difference between the two, not spoilers, but Shazam and there's a reason one is a jovial character and the other one's just
Well, right.
very
but
serious.
I was like, again,
love
this is just
what
what
they're
I
doing
read
here.
somewhere, so this may or may not even be true. But supposedly, one of the biggest reasons why this character wasn't introduced in a Shazam movie was because they wanted to have such different tones to the movies.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like this had that much of a different tone from Shazam. You know what I mean? Like, he's not Zach Levi. I mean, he's not telling that many jokes, but there was serious part. Like in Shazam, you had not Sylvana, Mark Strong's character. I can't remember his name, but like he was pretty serious, you know. And I mean,
but the two lead characters couldn't be more. The dichotomy between the two, you have Shazam is literally a family, which you know from the comics. There's a Shazam family, where Black Adam is a loner. So I love what they're doing here, and I think this could help with the DCEU going forward because now you have something that when they come together, that's going to be fun, and because you have that, but allowing them to establish themselves instead of putting them together right away, I think it's a good move for DC. Finally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely check that out. So, all right. What did you want to get to first?
Well, I'm gonna take my little dig at Steve here.
Nice.
And I'm gonna put two movies together.
What do we got?
Because I watched two quote unquote horror movies based on Steve's recommendations, or not even recommendations so much, but I guess just his comments regarding both of them. So the first one I watched was I Spit on Your Grave. I did watch the 2010 remake. I didn't watch the 1978 version. And then also I watched X. Now I streamed both of these, so I'm not necessarily looking to compare the home theater experiences to his 4K disc watching.
Okay.
Because one of these was on Amazon and one of them was on Showtime. So not like the best home theater experiences for both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they were both in 4K and they were both upmixed to Neural X and they were fine. But these movies were just not good. And
Steve is not having a good week.
And I used the term horror movie. I put it in quotations because, I mean, maybe I have a different interpretation of what a horror movie is, but both of these movies were just people on people. Like, it was like in I Spit on Your Grave, it's a woman who was assaulted and takes revenge.
They're revenge films. Yeah.
There's no supernatural or horror about it. In X, it's a similar thing. And this one's even more unbelievable because it's like two 97-year-old people that are killing a whole bunch of 20-somethings, you know, effortlessly. I can't say that.
Yeah.
But again, there's no horror here. It's just people on people violence. Horror, because I don't even look at even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something as like a horror movie per se, because it's just person on person.
Right.
It's not like there's no ghost, there's no vampire, there's no supernatural to these.
Right.
It's just so I don't call them horror movies, even though they were both built
they're
that
horror.
way.
Yeah, that it is. It's a different genre. And what's funny is when you hear what Steve said earlier in the show, when you hear it back, you'll probably agree with him because we talked about Steve and I, and I'll couple this in with yours, is my favorite of the week, he said sarcastically,
Yeah.
Cabin in the Woods.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now it wasn't Steve that I had
No, that was,
multiple people recommend.
multiple people, yeah.
Multiple people told me this is great.
And I've seen this, and I knew how you were going to react to it.
Jen and I watched this together. We were going to watch Scream, the new one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, people have raved about this. Let's see this one. And people raved about Scream as well. But the new one, not I obviously I've seen 1 through 4 already, as I said earlier with Steve. But so Jen and I sat down to watch this. I was like, this, I literally said, I'm like, this is dumb. I don't get it. And then having a conversation with Steve and also reading IMDb, like I said to Steve, is that I realized that it's supposed to be a joke. It's supposed to be a play, like pointing, fingers
Cabin in
at,
the Woods was, yes.
right. And I'm like,
it was like a
I
kind of a
didn't get
parody
it.
of the genre.
Right. And that's why I said in my notes, I said, I'm so done with horror movies because I do like horror movies, but they have to be like, it has to be what I like. I'm not generally a horror fan. So when somebody comes to me and tells me how great something is, I get excited because they're excited. So then I take that excitement into it, but I don't see them the way they do. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm just saying like we see things differently. We have different opinions on things. And Steve and I had a great conversation about it. And one of the things he mentioned was like horror is probably probably has the most subsets within the genre of any other genre out there. He's like, and he started listing them because he's a big horror fan.
He is.
And so when you hear that back, and the listeners that listen to us now have
and
already heard it.
I haven't seen The Green Room.
Right.
I haven't heard Steve yet this week, but yeah, unfortunately, I didn't enjoy either one of these movies.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back. I was going to go back and watch the 1978 version of I Spit on Your Grave, but this one was available to stream, so I watched it first.
Yeah.
But nothing about this makes me now want to go back and watch the original.
Right.
I mean, I knew exactly what this movie was before I even started it, but I just don't think it even executed well what it was trying to do. And I felt the same way with X. Like,
yeah,
I found X to be so far-fetched. Like, the fact that these two 90-something were, going around doing this, it was just, I don't know.
Just not for us.
It just,
But
it
how was the
wasn't.
home theater on that, though? Because I can talk to that.
Again, now I streamed it, so I didn't have the 4K disc, which I know is how Steve watched it. So it was just average at best.
Okay.
Again, it was upmixed from Showtime. This might not even, I don't even know if Showtime had it in 4K, to be honest with you. It might have just been.
It's not saying here on Showtime.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
I do know that I Spit on Your Grave was 4K on Amazon, but like I said, they were both fine for, they're horror movies, so you do have ambient sounds going on that were fine with the Neural X. I Spit on Your Grave, they were, you were in the woods, and so there was running water and things that you could hear around you, and like I said, it was fine, but. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't really enjoy either one of these
in the first place.
movies. Yeah.
So I will say,
and I really wanted to like X because I wanted to watch Pearl, and it's like a whole trilogy. And like I Spit on Your Grave has like 6 sequels. So I don't know how this girl keeps getting herself into these situations unless they're about different people. I don't know, because like you can get attacked and abused one time, but if it keeps happening to you, there's something going on in your life that you need to fix. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't find any of them particularly suspenseful or like surprised me in any way. Like I saw them both coming from a mile away, and sorry, Steve, but didn't enjoy them.
That's all right. I found Cabin in the Woods. I found the home theater part of it was fantastic. It really was. It's I bought it on Kaleidoscape. It has since been deleted. and I need space.
Save the space.
Save space. Save the space.
It's in the cloud.
Yeah.
Lake Kaleidoscape manager ones and zeros on that one.
Yeah, exactly. So, that went to the cloud. But yeah, I thought the home theater experience was really, really good. So good that I could see myself, maybe not next year, but maybe the year after, revisiting
Watching it again.
with an eye of like humor, with like, okay,
Right.
let's just laugh at this, right?
But just for the experience.
Just
of
for
it.
the experience, because the experience was really good. So, but yeah, so all right. Staying on this pattern, staying on this feeling of, ugh. Let's get to our other horror movie for the week. Just wasn't.
Oh, we're gonna do that now.
Yeah, might as well.
The one you forced me to watch, actually.
Which title of the show?
Yes.
That we don't have to title it that. We could actually change that, but yeah, let's go with
No, I mean it was our
Halloween
it was our-
Ends, and
yes, Halloween
thank
ends.
God, that was the only bright part, is that it actually ended.
And you watched this on Peacock too, right? Like this wasn't
Yeah.
available on
Nope.
Kaleidoscape or anything.
No, I can
right?
pre-order it if
Yeah.
I would like it.
Right.
But here's what I said to Steve. I don't dislike it as much as you do. All right. I told Steve, I'm very interested to get your perspective, but I said to Steve that I feel like Steve is slightly, if we're 0 to 100 in scoring, Steve's over 50%. I'm slightly under 50%, like a 45. You're like at a 0.
I'm at a 0. Now, I have a comment that it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then I watched X last night. So I don't know if that quite holds up anymore. But
it's been usurped.
But this was, I don't know. I really
Took a day.
disliked it. I did not like
Really?
this movie at all.
Now, spoiler free.
I didn't
like,
realize
why?
I didn't realize that I had missed an installment though. But I don't know if that would have changed things for me.
Oh.
I didn't watch last year's version.
Version.
So I didn't realize that this was a trilogy. I thought there was just the
Right.
one they did like 2
I
years
think
ago.
you,
So
like,
maybe
I think you
I
would have
missed-
liked it even less.
I might have, but
Yeah.
like I wasn't quite sure why he was in a cave. Like I didn't really know what was going on.
Well, that's
But
the
I
thing.
don't-
Yeah.
But I don't feel like going back and watching that movie will make me like this one any more. So I'm just
No,
not going to
it's
bother.
more just like as Steve and I were talking. It's
It
more
probably makes it more
disjointed.
disjointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was what it was. It was just it like made no sense to me. Like I didn't really get the whole like am I transferring my consciousness into this new dude? Like
Well,
that's gonna take over. Like
yeah.
I don't really know
No.
what was happening, and it just felt so nonsensical to me. Like I just didn't enjoy it at all. I even gave up. Like I had a few timestamps here, and at like 52 minutes, I even stopped with that.
Right.
Like, I'm just like that's where I'm done. I had kind of honestly, I had kind of checked out by that point, and finishing it was just going through the motions.
It's so funny. I was the same way. I had opening is fun, great sound in the room with the music. It really was. I was really ramped up.
Like at
for
12
this.
minutes, there was some really good bass. Like there's a couple of scenes, even on, like I said, even on Peacock. Again, we both upmixed and do our upmixing, but
That was decent bass.
there's some good. At 42 minutes, there's a good jump scare that had some really good bass.
7 minutes at the 7-minute mark, Jeremy running upstairs, little boy
Yeah,
running upstairs, and he looks up, and it sounds like there's a kid running upstairs in your room.
right.
So he upmixed with the Neural X. I got the nice
Got that
overhead feel of a kid running upstairs. That was, and that's like roughly the 7-minute mark.
But that's the whole thing. It's like, why am I still here? Like, why haven't I moved away yet? Like, I don't know why I'm still living in this town after that happened to me, and it was just like,
I know.
why am I now like a serial killer? I just didn't understand any of that character. I can't remember his name, but I didn't understand that character at all.
Yeah, I love Halloween. Right? I don't decorate like I used to. Obviously, we don't trick or treat, but I love Halloween because when I was growing up, it meant you got dressed up. You got to go hang out with your buddies. You got to go get candy from strangers. It was a lot of fun. So I still celebrate it.
Right.
The town got murdered. I'm in Honolulu every
Exactly.
Halloween, or I'm on a
Right.
beach in Aruba all by myself
Right.
or with family. Like, I am ignoring Halloween. I don't like that. But that says more about just like the series, like almost like every movie, like that commercial they have now. Why don't we just get in that running car? Like, you know,
Right.
and they all run into the shed with all the butcher tools.
Well,
Right.
and I was listening to did you listen to the Ralph Report today yet?
No.
Okay. Well, jump into the end, you know, for those that don't listen, they do like TV Tunes Tuesday
Yeah,
every
yeah.
week where they bring up. So this week it was Murder She Wrote.
Okay.
Which I've never watched. Like I've never watched
Oh,
an episode of that.
Yeah.
But apparently it took place in this small town in Maine. But this show ran for 12 years and every week somebody died. So
Yeah.
26 episodes a year for 12 years. And he's like, they did the math and it has the highest per capita murder rate of any place in the entire world.
For a small
it's like-
town.
But it's like, why do you still live? Like, if that many people are kicking off of this,
Right.
like something cove in Maine, why do you still live there? Like,
Right.
I'd be gone if that many people were getting murdered every week. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, that's like
it's a population like 2,000 and they've killed 300 people.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
that's like the psych
it's like-
TV show. Supposedly they live in Santa Barbara. And
Right.
there's a murder every week. And they're running
Right.
15, 16 episodes a season for 8 years. And you're like,
Yeah, that's a
there's
lot of murders.
A lot of murders. There's one repeat serial killer going on.
Yeah.
Like he keeps coming. There's 3 different episodes. They have to go after the yin yang serial killer. It's like but you're just loving the show. And it's the same with horror. You're just loving
Yeah,
the experience. You don't get the reality of like, why are we doing this?
Right. But like, yeah, even going back to Halloween, like Mike Myers doesn't seem very mobile, right? Like, so if I'm worried about Mike Myers, why don't I just move across country? Like, he's probably not getting to me, you know?
John, the funniest thing is this is like the reverse of like when you put out a headline to get people to click. And it was like, people are going to be like, yeah, they're talking about Halloween. And they're like,
Yeah.
we're just bashing on
Yeah,
horror
we're bashing it.
movies. We're just bashing on horror movies. It's like,
And
oh, well.
like, I love this is a mild, again, not really a spoiler, but like halfway through the movie, there's like this nurse that's having an affair with her doctor boss, right? And they go to like their love nest or wherever they're gonna have their affair, their love nest, right? But the whole time,
What are you,
she's
80?
calling him, yeah. But the whole time she keeps referring to him as Dr. Mathis, and it's like, you're sleeping with this guy. You're not on a first name basis. It's like, oh yes, Dr. Mathis, I'm gonna go do this, and oh yes, I'm gonna go do that. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like my name's Bob, like you know. And it just cracked me up. Like I had to write that as a note because
Yeah, I know
was
what you're
just
talking
like-
about. I
was like,
remember
oh my
that.
god, you know. It's like,
Yep. That was funny. That was actually in Frasier. The first
Was
time.
it?
Yeah, when Niles and what's her name? The mate was it not Dabney.
Daphne.
Daphne.
Yeah.
When they first kissed. And it's like when they finally got together and they first kissed
Right.
or whatever, and she's
She
like,
calls him Dr. Crane.
she goes, "Oh, Dr. Crane," and he goes, "I think you can call me Niles now."
yeah.
And all they did was kiss.
Yeah. But just crack because like at least 6 times in that scene she calls him Dr. Mathis.
Oh yeah, no, I
Yeah,
know
I'm
that.
like-
I thought the same thing. I just didn't write it down, but yeah, that was great. All right, what do we have any good stuff? I do. I have a few others. I
I do
cleanse
actually
myself
have-
every time.
I do. I have a couple things too, but
Go ahead.
These have all kind of been mine, so you can go to one of.
Oh well, no, I
One
did
of
my.
yours.
Yeah, we did Halloween. All right, let's go with. I did. Well, I did the Wolfman, the werewolf.
Yeah, I
Wolfman.
saw that. I still haven't even cracked that set yet.
Oh, this one it is the 4K
Is it
on
better?
this. It's not the black and white 4K on Wolfman. The Wolfman. It's not as dramatic and not as nice as say like Psycho was, right?
Right.
But it is. It looks really good. And what's funny is this one is from 1941. Dracula was from 31.
yeah, I was gonna say there was a bit of a time
10 years.
gap
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
And what was really cool was you could see like in 10 years how much they'd advanced, not in their technology, but in their set, like they actually moved the camera more.
Right.
Right. Whereas like in Dracula, everything was like, okay, this is a frame. This apparently they like screwed
Everything
the camera to
happens
the
here.
floor.
Right. Everything
Like,
happens in this frame.
There was no pivot on the tripod, nothing. It
Right.
was like, just stand, don't get out of shot. Right. But this one here is like they would hold the shot. People would walk in, but then there were times when they actually pivoted the camera. They followed bigger sets, I thought. Special effects really held up. No, just kidding. It's a lot of fun to go back and watch, especially getting it restored, having it this clean. It's just DTS stereo, master audio stereo. Really, it was a lot of fun. Look, maybe I'll do the other ones next year. Not maybe. I have them. I'll probably do them, but
yeah, I really
looking
want
forward
to
to
get
the
into
Mummy.
this set and start watching it. I just haven't.
Yeah,
had
it's
time-
fun.
had-
It's 4:3
had time.
aspect ratio.
I was too busy watching X and I Spit on Your
I know.
Grave.
Well, I had to cleanse my, and this was a fun cleanse too, because it's
Yeah.
just fun. It's like it's not fantastic by any stretch of the imagination.
Wow.
You know who's in it? And I noticed him. He was in Trading Places. He was one of the people, the guys. I forget their names.
One of the
that were
old,
betting.
old guys.
Yeah, the two
Yeah.
old guys.
Really?
Yeah.
He was in that?
He's in
Oh, wow.
it, and he's obviously like this is in 41.
Well, yeah. He was.
He
old
actually, I
younger,
looked him.
but-
I forget who it was. I looked him up on IMDb, and Mortimer was the
Mortimer,
brother's name. They
yeah.
were their names, but he was in the Wolfman and
Dukes.
The Dukes. Yes, that's what it was.
It was the Dukes.
And but as soon as he's a lot younger, obviously he's
Yeah. Wow.
40 years younger.
40 years younger.
Yeah, he actually died in 91. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, and but he was born in like 1904 or something like that. So, but seeing him as a younger person, but he was probably 40 something here or 30 something here, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, it's like he was in this.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Because you think those movies are so, of course they are old.
They
They're
are
like
old.
80 years old.
they're 80 years
but-
old. Yeah,
Yeah. But
Oh,
you
it
don't
was a
think
lot
of
of fun.
anybody that was in them being in other things that you saw.
that
you
we
know what I mean?
know, right?
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was cool to recognize him too, and be like, I know him.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, because I'm not sure if I would have picked him out.
yeah, well,
And
you
now
would've.
it's got,
He's got the
and
same
now I
voice.
definitely will.
Yeah,
because
he's got the same
I'll know
voice.
about it.
Yeah.
But
You will. Not a big role, but you'll know him when you see him.
yeah.
All right, what do you got?
So next up, we watched the Peripheral
Peripheral.
on
Peripheral.
Amazon Prime. This was a new show.
Yep.
It dropped 2 episodes. This is 4K UHD, but just 5.1 sound. But this was excellent.
Yeah.
Really cool show. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, it's really good premise. It's a sci-fi show. There's a lot of VR technology and some time travel and things like that are happening. It's Chloe Grace Moretz
Okay.
is the main character here. But it looked fantastic and it sounded great. Not quite up to Rings of Power,
Okay.
more along the lines of like The Boys, but still really good for Amazon Prime because, like I said, they get a kind of a bad rap for some of their quality. But this is definitely worth a watch and it's a pretty good HT experience. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, I definitely recommend that. And like I said, 2 episodes dropped so far.
Think Jen would like it?
So, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
All right. All right. Let's go with you gotta go with the standby. You couldn't cleanse yourself more after seeing Halloween Ends than
Yeah,
firing up Empire Strikes Back.
Empire.
Oh, Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. Oh my God, so good, so good, so much fun. And did I text you that I'm seeing things I hadn't seen before?
No, I just read it on your notes. Actually, you didn't.
It was like,
you didn't.
oh,
text
did I put that in the
me.
notes too?
You put that in the notes,
Yeah.
though, that you're seeing things that you
Oh, yeah,
have
yeah.
never seen before.
Yeah, it's like when Luke he's talking to Yoda, it switches to Yoda.
And see, I don't remember hearing
Oh
this
my God.
either.
Yeah, go to it. It's at 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 50 seconds. Spoilers.
Yeah.
It's Luke's going. right before the cave, I believe. It's before he goes into the cave with Darth Vader and everything, and Luke's like, I feel cold, and then the camera switches to Yoda, and you hear Luke say, death. And you're like, what the hell was that? I was like, I had never heard it before. Or
I don't know if I ever have either. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I have. And I
Yeah.
just don't remember.
But it was just so much fun. I think I told you before about, I don't know if we were talking off air or on air or whatever, and Empire Strikes Back, and like at the beginning when they're in the hangar area on Hoth, and you can see outside the hangar and the colors you see there. It's just really not the detail and stuff. It's just, there's so much to this 4K, with the HDR that it just looks so good. Same with Cloud City. Just the details that you're seeing, that they just look so good. But yeah, the movie it was just so much fun going. I hadn't gone back on this in a few months. I just keep doing A New Hope.
Right.
But yeah, Empire.
Well, that's the thing too.
so
I go
good.
to A New Hope a lot, but I don't go back to the other ones nearly as much.
Yeah. This
Because I'll throw A New Hope in every time I make a change to something. But
yeah.
I don't do that. I don't do that with the other movies.
Yeah.
So I probably haven't watched this since the set came out.
Yeah.
And I watched all the whole 9 series
If
when the 4K box set came out.
if you're a big Star Wars fan, all right,
I don't
Yeah,
know
no.
anybody that fits
And
that bill, but
and you get, if you're a big Star Wars fan, you've seen these movies a lot. Here's an HDR tester for you that and it did for me. The scene where Han's being put into carbonite,
yeah,
it's unreal. Absolutely unreal. The vibrancy that you get from that the lava glow, the blue background so you have that orange and that blue, but then the glow on the sides of their faces when Han and Leia are looking at each other. They're up close to each other, and it's like, I love you, I know, blah blah blah, all this.
right.
Chewy, just the HDR in that scene. If you've just got a fresh new OLED and you have it and you want to really test it out, and Empire Strikes Back, you're going to see the scene in a way you've never seen before. It's
Cool.
it's amazing. It's amazing. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
And
I'll have to check it out.
and it honestly, this movie was like that all the way through. There were things I was just like, and again, I'd just come off of Halloween Ends. I was looking to be entertained. So I'm just looking,
Right.
I was just loving the glow and loving the sounds. And it's so good. So good. So, all right. What else you got? Oh, your last one. How do you
My
say
last
this?
one. Well, I'm not sure I'm going to say it right, but this is a show that you and Jen will definitely like.
Okay.
And should be watching. This is on Apple TV. It's called Shantaram. I think. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right.
Okay.
But it's standard Apple TV, so 4K, Dolby Atmos, everything top of the line.
Standard. I love how we say
yeah.
standard, which is like for most
Standard.
people. Yeah, it's just standard Apple TV, which means like, no, that means top notch.
It's top notch.
Platinum.
Yeah. I've been meaning to get to this for a couple of weeks because I saw that it dropped so there was 4 episodes. So I think it dropped 2 originally, and then I when we came to it, there was 4 episodes. So we watched the 4 over the last 2 evenings. This has Charlie Hunnam in it. He plays the main character. Story of a guy that basically he was trained to be a doctor, but got sidetracked, got into drugs, went to prison, escapes prison in Australia and has to go on the run, and he ends up in Bombay. And he has a series of misadventures, but is trying to kind of be on the run and blend in, but also trying to help people because he's got that mindset of being a doctor, which keeps bringing attention to him.
Yeah.
But it's really, really good so far. The 4 episodes have been very, very good. And this, it looks awesome because the colors of like Bombay and, the different buildings and like they're in a club at one point and it's like all the reds and the colors they use in India. There's a lot of reds and a lot of yellows and the club is all kind of red. And, it just looks really, really good and it sounds awesome. They're living in kind of like the slums in Bombay, so you've just got so much noise that's happening all around you, and all the speakers are engaged, and you're hearing, they're trying to sell fish off in one corner speaker, and they're trying to do this over in another speaker. There's just stuff talking and happening everywhere, and it sounds really good. Again, not like C levels of Atmos, but really good and just a fantastic watch.
Cool.
Like I think anybody would enjoy it. But home theater wise, it's again it's very, very good. So
cool.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, I was hoping that they had said like Shantaram or whatever in the
they
show.
Haven't. They haven't. And I had to I actually had to look it up. I had to actually look it up to see what it meant, and I can't even remember basically. But it's what they would refer to him as in the language, and it's basically like I'm butchering it, but like the enlightened guy that likes to help people or something. It's just like a term that they have.
Like a Sherpa.
Yeah,
like a Sherpa is the guide. Yeah,
right. But yeah, like I said, excellent show.
Cool.
I don't really know any of the other cast. I don't recognize anybody else in it, except for him. But
Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
Cool. All right. And then I guess my last one, we'll go with to wrap up for the week. That's pretty much it, right? This is the last one.
That's the last one, yeah.
So it's a good one to end on. We'll have a fun conversation. Poltergeist from 1982. Just came out last month, I believe, on 4K disc. I grabbed it on Kaleidoscape. It's in DTS 5.1. Of course, I upmixed it with Neural X, and it was a lot of fun. Jen and I had a lot of fun with this.
I haven't seen this movie in probably 30 years.
Oh my God. So. The home theater experience is a lot of fun. It looks better than it ever has, obviously. You've got ghosty scenes and stuff that are really enhanced with the 4K HDR and everything. It just, it looks so good. And
I'm trying to remember. I think this was a theater movie for me, but I can't remember 100% if I saw it. Maybe I saw it on HBO. I don't know if I saw it in the theaters, but
it's funny when John Brock saying what I have no reason to doubt him. He had all the knowledge on. I thought it was PG-13, because one, I thought I read that, but two, I remember my parents wouldn't let me see it.
Right.
But listening to it, but they also probably had read all the stuff, like it was supposed to be R. Right? There was a lot of talk about it. So they probably were like, no, you're not going to see this. So I had to sneak in to see this. We were only 12 when it came out.
I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't know what it looks like through the lens of being 52. But this was pretty scary at the time.
It is not anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure it isn't.
Funny. It is.
But it was pretty scary as a kid.
This is one of those movies that you go, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Why are they there? I think, was it Chris Rock or something that said, like, that's the difference between white people and black people?
Well, yeah.
Oh, no, that was Eddie Murphy, wasn't it?
Yeah, talking about the Amityville Horror House.
Oh, that's what it was, right? It's
I love this place, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, baby, we got to go.
Sorry, baby, we got to go.
Yeah, that'd be me too.
That was, in this here, like, I mean, it's an old movie. It's an 82, came out.
Yeah.
They solved the problem and then stayed.
Right.
It's like, what are you doing? You like, the movie should have ended right there. It's like, and then you forget that. Like, I forgot. I haven't seen it in a long time, and I'd forgotten that. I was like, oh, this is the end of the movie, and then your memory starts to go, oh wait, there's a bunch of crap that hasn't happened yet. I'm like, they actually stuck around. Like, you go, oh yeah, stay in the house one more night. I'll be back. I got to go do this. He leaves the family, and you're like, Oh, but it is so laughing at stuff like that, laughing at the special effects, right? The trying to remember.
I'm sure
some
the
of
guy
stuff.
trying to remember pulling his face off in the mirror or
Oh my
whatever
God.
probably looks horrible.
It
you
is
know?
so bad.
Yeah,
It
I'm
makes
sure
it makes
but-
the Terminator scene when he cuts his eye out in Terminator. It makes that look like, a work of art. It's like
Right.
this, and I said it to Steve earlier. I'm like, I feel like the special effects on this could be done like by a high school class today.
right.
Right. They would do a better job with this. And it's funny because I'm watching Industrial Light and Magic, what do they call it? What's the show? I've been going through that, and they're talking about, ILM and doing
Yeah.
Poltergeist and doing all of these movies and like all the things they had to do and all these special.
Oh,
and
I'm
I
sure
was like,
at the time,
I
yeah.
just saw it. It was horrible.
Because well, I
But
just
at the
recently
time-
watched Raiders again,
Yeah.
and like the face melting scene at the end of that is pretty comical,
Yeah.
But I remember in 81 or 2 or whenever it was that I saw that,
Yeah.
it was cutting it. It was like, oh my God, what's
Yeah.
But looks pretty silly now, and I just imagine that scene from Poltergeist being
Yeah.
very similar to that.
Have you seen the Lights and what is it? Lights and Magic?
No,
or
I
whatever?
don't know. I can't remember the name of that show either, but
It's awesome. It's awesome.
is
I
it?
just
Yeah.
I've been going through it, and it's like when I get a chance, because I don't have to watch it in my theater. I can watch it upstairs. It's
Right.
a documentary type thing.
Yeah.
But there was there were a couple things that I'll probably leave for the green room, but it that were more. I'll leave that for the green room. But there was some stuff in there, a lot of stuff about the special effects, about how they couldn't get the Millennium Falcon. This one I hadn't seen too. A lot of the stuff, the early stuff I had seen before.
You
in
already
special,
know, yeah.
yeah. But this one here, they actually took a Polaroid of the Millennium Falcon, the back of it, because they couldn't get
Uh-huh.
far enough away with it to
Right.
get the shot they wanted. So they took a Polaroid of it, cut it out, and then actually used that. And that's when they go
Oh,
like
really?
the star field, and then you see it go, and it's like a 1 second shot. And they show you how
Right.
they did it. Then they show you the shot, and you're like, oh my God. And it's like, but what I love about that entire thing is that it's them problem solving the bejesus out of everything.
Oh yeah.
How to save money, how to do that, because there was nothing. So like all of these movies like Poltergeist that we see, and you're like, oh, that was awful. But if they didn't do that, we don't have what we have today.
Right, because
Right.
that was the first time that was done
Yeah.
at the time.
And then we've problem solved how to make that better. But somebody and I said, like Jen and I said while watching Poltergeist, we're like, I think a lot of these effects played really well because we were like this as kids. Oh my God. Like you couldn't look. You were wincing because that was a big
Right.
deal to us then. Now we're like, oh my God, that is
Yeah.
so bad. And now like and you're looking at it in 4K.
Well, and then you're also like, again, not that I get scared like I did when I was a kid or anything, but like you're also not surprised by it. Like it's
True.
coming. So
That's what I mean.
You're
Right.
not. Yeah, there's
And you're
no jump
waiting
scare
for it.
there or
Right.
anything. You're waiting for it, so you're
Right.
watching it.
Right.
A lot more intently than you did.
Yeah.
Kind of before. So
Yeah, but it is a lot of fun. It's still early in the month. You still have time to take it in before Halloween. Definitely
Yeah.
worth it. It's so
well, somebody
much
was
fun.
sending it to me, but I haven't gotten it. So
Oh
I
yeah,
haven't
it's
had a
sitting
chance
right
to
next
watch
to me
it
in a
yet.
box because I'm
Yeah.
trying to add something else to the box too, but they're not in
Oh, yeah.
stock.
Oh.
That's right. I forgot that was one of the things on its way. Yeah, really good. So, all right, is that it for this week?
I think so.
Nice short show, tidy.
Yeah, yeah.
T-
We
tidy.
were going to keep it short.
We're at 2:47
It's
right now.
5:45.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, we're at a nice 5:45, 2:47 on the clock. So
yeah.
all right, thank you everybody. We're gonna wrap it up from here.
Oh wait, we have one more giveaway.
Oh, one more. Oh, that's right. One more because
Yeah.
we've already given away Star Trek Wrath of Khan, and we gave away Bram Stoker's Dracula. So what else do we hit? We get. All right, so we gave one from Brett, one from Nelson. All right, let's give away Steve George's
X.
Super Pets. Yeah.
If you still want X, claim it now.
That would be so funny.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Oh, Super Pets, I claim that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Super Pets from Steve George. Thank you, Steve. So if you would like Super Pets, text or DM or email me. And you can email me. You could email me at dj@brightsidehometheater.com. Huh?
You can.
How about that? All right. And yeah, actually, that's it. If you want Super Pets, you have to email me at dj@brightsidehometheater.com. It's the only way you can get Super Pets. Only way. No DMs accepted. So everybody has access to email. So
yes.
All right. That will do it for the week. We've given 3 discs away. We've covered a lot of stuff. We've bashed horror enough.
We have.
It's
a good thing it's almost November.
Yeah, now we can start
Next time we record, it'll be November 1st. So.
Yep, it'll be November 1st next time we record. We'll have a new charity we're giving away to. We'll start bashing holiday movies. Because we are the bright side, John.
Exactly.
Hey, I guess it actually is, it makes sense that we bash horror.
Yeah.
That's negative. People dying.
That's right. That's negative.
So
that's
we're
right.
trying
It's all negative
two
stuff.
negatives make a positive. Huh?
Well,
so
you know what's
we're
funny
actually, 2 negatives make a positive. We're actually making horror a positive.
Or make it a positive.
See?
I need to go back and revisit the horror movies I actually like, and I bet you I don't like them as much anymore either. You know?
I don't know. Shining's still really good.
Yeah. Because like I said, I said, my 2 all-time favorites are like The Exorcist and The Omen.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen those in so long that they're probably not, they probably don't hold up either.
Psycho's really good.
Yeah.
Still holds up. I mean, because they did everything off camera.
Right.
That was more about pacing, but all right. Let's get out of here. Thank you to everybody for listening, watching. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a review if you'd like. That would be great too. And also, as always, thank you to Steve George for participating. Great addition to the show. Thank you very much. And we'll be back next week with, I think we're going to talk a little Top Gun next week. You think?
Probably.
You think?
Yeah.
Lots of Top Gun next week. So have a great
Although
week.
I'll only have had a night. If it comes in late, I won't have had a chance to watch it.
Just take in a few scenes. I am going to.
I'm saying if it doesn't show up on time,
Tuesday's episode, Takeover Tuesday, it's getting taken over by Top Gun Maverick. Todd and I are recording. That's going to come out the day. Well, it was supposed to be the day it drops, but I didn't schedule a guest because I didn't want to put out a Top Gun Maverick podcast on top of a Takeover Tuesday listener and have one overshadowed. Right. So I'm like, Todd and I, that's what you're looking forward to on Tuesday. Todd and I are going to go spoiler free for a while. Then we're going to break down our favorite scenes, see if we have the favorite scene. We each picking 5 of our favorite scenes. Cool. Lots of fun. Top Gun Maverick talk coming on Tuesday. And then you and I will break it down on Friday. I'll rehash it with you because, I love the movie.
Yeah.
I won't have my newest edition in yet, but,
No, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Now we're really out of here. Have a great week, everybody. Right. John, what do they got to do?
Go push play.
That's right. Hey, Fred.
This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.